Chapter 468. As Yunruan spoke, she hugged Li Yan with one hand and shot a dazzling fireball at Rong Yueshang with the other. This fireball was much smaller than the one she released before she broke through to the Great Perfection Realm, but its power and speed were many times faster than the one she released before she broke through the Great Perfection Realm. Before Rong Yueshang could dodge, the fireball was right in front of her. Before she could even react, it had set her body on fire. Ah! Rong Yueshang cried out in pain. Seeing that she would soon be reduced to ashes, she turned to Yunruoyan and said viciously, "Yunruoyan, even if I die, I'll drag you and your son down with me." As soon as she finished speaking, she mustered all the spiritual energy she could muster and shot toward Yunruoyan like a streak of light. She's going to detonate her spiritual vortex. The demonic dragon patriarch shouted. Detonating one's spiritual vortex would produce a tremendous amount of destructive power. Li Mo Yun Mo Xiao and the demonic dragon patriarch rushed forward to help her, but before they could do anything they heard a loud explosion followed by a blinding light. After the light disappeared, the first thing they saw was Qiuqiu's enormous figure. "You want to perish together with my master with this little bit of cultivation? You're not worthy." Qiuqiu snorted coldly, then shook its fiery red fur and appeared behind Yunruoyan. Li Mo, who was in her arms, had also been woken up by the sound of the explosion, and he was currently nibbling on Yunruoyan's hand. Seeing that the mother and son were safe and sound, the few of them smiled. Li Mo in particular relaxed his furrowed brows. "Thank goodness. We finally killed Rong Yueshang. You can finally head to the extreme abyss continent in peace, ha ha ha." The demonic dragon patriarch let out a long sigh, then suddenly burst into laughter. Everyone's attention had been focused on Yunruoyan and Li Yan, but when the elder laughed they couldn't help but turn to him. What they saw shocked them. This was because Elder Mo Long's primordial spirit was only left with a thin layer at the moment. It was like a thin fog on a cloudy day that would dissipate at any time. "Senior, what's wrong?" Yun Mo Xiao, who was standing next to the demonic dragon ancestor, asked. "It's nothing. It's just that this old man's time has come." The demon dragon ancestor's tone was flat as if he was talking about something that had nothing to do with him. Yunruoyan shoved Li Yan into Li Mo's arms and quickly walked up to the demonic dragon patriarch. She raised her hand, intending to inject spiritual energy into his primordial spirit. The demon dragon ancestor hurriedly stopped her. "It's useless," he said. "My time is up. Don't waste it pointlessly. Didn't you say that there's still nearly a year before your death?" Yunruoyan's voice was muffled. She had hated the demon dragon ancestor ever since he began threatening her, but she didn't hate him so much that she wanted him dead. Moreover, everything the demon dragon ancestor had done for her and Li Yan later on, although he had his own motives, Yunruoyan was still grateful to him. She had been hoping to bring back some holy water from the extreme abyss continent to prolong the demon dragon ancestor's life, but she hadn't expected him to die so soon. "If I don't do anything and drag it out one day at a time, I can drag it out to a year later," the demon dragon ancestor replied. "So you're doing this for us?" "Oh no. The demon dragon ancestor hurriedly waved his hands. "I'm doing this for myself, for the sake of the demon dragon clan and for the sake of the two of you. Besides, what's the point of dragging on like this? What's the point? I'm fine as it is now. I've done everything I could, and now that I'm gone I'll leave the rest to you." As the demon dragon ancestor spoke, the demon dragon ancestor's projection grew fainter and fainter, but his face carried a gratified, even relieved smile. "But if you die, how are we going to get to the extreme abyss continent?" "Don't worry. You can use the all-seeing mirror to return to the netherworld continent, and Qiuqiu can help you tear open the spatial barrier that leads to the extreme abyss continent. It's a little troublesome, but it's the safest method. That silver dragon ancestor knows that you're going to the extreme abyss continent to make trouble for him, and he'll definitely be waiting for you at the entrance. But if Qiuqiu tears open the spatial barrier, he won't be able to track you down, and it'll actually be easier for you." Yunruoyan turned to Qiuqiu and asked with her eyes. "Don't worry, mistress. Tearing open the spatial barrier is one of my abilities. Little girl, don't forget what you promised me." Before the demon dragon ancestor completely disappeared, he left behind one last sentence. "Don't worry, senior. I'll do my best to revive the demonic dragons and ensure that their lineage continues." Yunruoyan looked at the spot where the demon dragon ancestor had disappeared. According to the demon dragon ancestor's previous arrangements, Yun Ruoyan and the others once again went to the extreme abyss continent to see Empress Xuetong. Empress Xuetong was the holy maiden of the Silver Dragons, and she had some understanding of the extreme abyss continent and the Silver Dragon palaces. Here's the map I've prepared for you. Before Li Mo and Yun Ruoyan could state their intentions, Empress Xuetong had Su Bei take out a map of the Silver Dragon City and the Silver Dragon Palace. Mother will set off immediately. Take care, I'll definitely find your true body and set you free once more, Li Mo promised. All right, I'll be waiting for you. Empress Xuetong's face was still expressionless, but she couldn't help but choke up. After so many years of waiting, it was finally time to act. Whether or not her son and daughter-in-law would be able to return after so many years of waiting would depend on their success. Li Mo and Yun Ruoyan kowtowed to Empress Xuetong before leaving. Yun Maxiao waited outside the castle. This was the first time he had visited a beastkin castle, and he was stunned by the grandeur of the ruins. Ever since he was a child, he had heard of a beastkin castle in the Yuli Mountains, but no one had ever seen it. Many people had tried to search for it, but none of them had found it. He hadn't expected that he would one day be able to experience it himself. Ruoyan, why are you here? Yun Maxiao hurriedly walked up to Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo. Yun Ruoyan hadn't had a chance to tell her brother about Li Mo, and Yun Maxiao had long been puzzled as to why they hadn't set off in the direction of the Kongming Mountains, but had instead gone deeper into the Yuli Mountains. However, they had been in such a hurry that he hadn't had a chance to ask. Yun Ruoyan glanced at Li Mo. My brother is our family and he'll be our comrade this time. Shouldn't we tell him about this? That's fine. Go ahead. Brother, let's talk as we walk. We'll reach Kongming Academy by nightfall, Yun Ruoyan said. Along the way, Yun Ruoyan told her brother about Li Mo's identity, as well as a few other matters regarding the beastkin. Yun Maxiao asked a lot of questions and Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo answered them one by one. Only then did he have a better understanding of his sister and brother-in-law. As a result, they arrived at Kongming Academy a little later than planned. They decided to rest for a while before setting off the next day. The night passed uneventfully, and the next day, Yun Ruoyan prepared to hand the mirror to the first elder so that he could reopen the vortex gate to the Heiyuan continent. Together with the 6 elders, they headed to the top of the southern tower. Yun Ruoyan, why don't we see that cultivator from last time? The third elder asked. He ascended, Yun Ruoyan replied truthfully. He's dead, the other elders exclaimed in unison. Yun Ruoyan didn't respond, and the elders naturally took her silence as a tacit agreement. Their faces lit up with joy. They had always been at the pinnacle of the Qinyuan continent, and the sudden appearance of someone who could turn them into mere ants made them extremely uncomfortable. From time to time, they worried that the same thing would happen again. They had all held high positions for a long time, and it wasn't easy for them to bow down again. From the moment the demonic dragon patriarch had appeared until Yun Ruoyan's return to Kongming Academy, the elders had been living in a state of anxiety. They hadn't expected Yun Ruoyan to bring them such great news. That cultivator was dead. They were still at the pinnacle of the Qinyuan continent. Yun Ruoyan. The second elder cleared his throat and straightened his back, returning to his usual lofty demeanor. The all-seeing mirror belonged to Kongming Academy in the first place. Since that cultivator has passed on, shouldn't you return it to us? All of the elders' gazes focused on Yun Ruoyan, waiting for her reply. Yun Ruoyan had indeed wanted to bring the all-seeing mirror to the far abyss continent, but she'd later learned that the mirror wasn't a battle-type spiritual artifact, but rather a formation-type artifact. With its enhancements, formations would be even more powerful. However, Yun Ruoyan didn't know much about formations. Before she learned how to use them, the all-seeing mirror wouldn't be of much use to her, and it wouldn't be safe for her to carry it around. Moreover, it didn't seem like they could bring it with them to the deep abyss continent through the mirror. In that case, she might as well leave it at Kongming Academy. If she wanted to take it back in the future, given her current cultivation, it wouldn't be too difficult. Yes, Yun Ruoyan. She then took out the all-seeing mirror and held it out to the second elder. Not only did the second elder not dare to accept it, he even took a step back. The all-seeing mirror had been in the southern tower since the elders were still regular students. They'd seen the mirror in action a few times, so they didn't dare touch it in the slightest. Yun Ruoyan smiled and placed the mirror back into its original position. Just as the mirror returned to its original position, A sudden clap of thunder rang out from the horizon. The destroyed barrier has been reconstructed. That's great. The elders were all overjoyed, but Yun Ruoyan urged the first elder to hurry up and open the whirlpool for them to enter. Chapter 469. At Yun Ruoyan's urging, the first elder opened the vortex, with Liemo in front and Yun Ruoyan at the back, trapping Yun Moxiao in the middle. The blades of wind here were still as sharp as ever. But to Yun Ruoyan they couldn't cause her any harm. Of the three of them, Yun Moxiao was the only one who was more affected. Originally he had wanted to rely on his own cultivation to survive, but the spiritual membrane on his body had been pierced by a wave of blades of wind, and his body immediately became erratic. Fortunately Yun Ruoyan and Liemo had been paying attention to him the entire time. The two of them reached out to grab him at the same time, then covered him with their own spiritual membranes. The three of them flew steadily through the vortex of blades. No wonder you said we couldn't bring Xiao Lian here. The blades of wind here are truly powerful, Yun Moxiao murmured. That's right, Liemo replied. Cultivators below 8th rank aren't allowed to enter. As he said this he couldn't help but think back to a few years ago, when Yun Ruoyan had resolutely jumped into this vortex of blades of wind with him despite her severe injuries. If not for Yun Ruoyan's insistence, they wouldn't have been able to have Xiao Lian so quickly. Liemo couldn't help but smile. Yun Moxiao happened to see Liemo's expression, and he was a little puzzled as to why the usually cold slaughtering king was so happy. Suddenly Yun Ruoyan spoke up. The exit's up ahead. Yun Moxiao followed Yun Ruoyan's line of sight and saw a whirlpool-shaped exit. Yun Ruoyan and Liemo rushed into the whirlpool with Yun Moxiao in tow. What appeared before Yun Moxiao was a vast ocean and a clear blue sky. The three of them had already summoned their swords and were hovering between the ocean and the sky. As soon as the three of them stabilized, Yun Ruoyan summoned Qiu from her pocket dimension. Qiu, can you tear through space here? Yun Ruoyan asked. Qiu crouched in Yun Ruoyan's lap and looked around. This is a good place. Let's do it here. Master, let me borrow your bracelet. Yun Ruoyan took off the bracelet and handed it to Qiu. Qiu grabbed the bracelet with its claws and tossed it into the air. As it floated in the air, the bracelet slowly grew until it was the size of a millstone. Qiu jumped off Yun Ruoyan's lap, then transformed into its battle form and landed on top of the silver bracelet. Master, you guys back off first, Qiu said to the three of them. The three of them retreated behind Qiu. Qiu stood on its two legs and raised its front paws. Spiritual energy surged around its body, causing its fur and the clothes of Yun Ruoyan and the others to flutter in the wind. Roar! Qiu suddenly let out a deafening roar in the air. Accompanied by this roar, Qiu's sharp claws clawed at the void. As if metal was rubbing against each other, Chirp's sharp claws created sparks in the air. The three of them couldn't help but widen their eyes when they saw these sparks, because they clearly saw that there was a cut where Qiu's claws had scratched. Qiu stuffed both of its claws into the opening and then slowly tore the small opening. Master, Liemo, Yun Moxiao, quickly go in. Qiu turned around and called out to the three of them. The three of them immediately stepped forward. Liemo was the first to enter, followed by Yun Moxiao and Yun Ruoyan. Once all three of them had entered, Qiu entered the silver bracelet, which transformed into a streak of light that followed behind Yun Ruoyan. The three of them had finally reached the extreme abyss continent. It was as if they had stepped from day to night. At the moment the extreme abyss continent was dark, but their surroundings were snow-white. Empress Xuetong had told them that the extreme abyss continent was covered in snow all year round, and that the snow was rich in spiritual energy that could be absorbed during cultivation, making it much easier than absorbing spiritual energy from heaven and earth. The three of them looked around. They were at a corner of a street surrounded by tall buildings. Because it was night, the streets were very quiet. This is Silver Dragon City, Liemo said, pointing to a building in the distance. That should be the Silver Dragon Tower. The building towered into the clouds and there was something at the top of the tower that glowed brightly. This particular building was marked on the map. Empress Xuetong had also said that the Silver Dragon Tower would be visible as long as they were in Silver Dragon City. The Silver Dragon Tower was built right in front of the Silver Dragon Castle, and they would be able to reach the castle by heading toward it. The three of them were very happy to have found their target. There's an inn over there. Let's rest for the night and move out tomorrow, Liemo said. The extreme abyss continent also used spirit stones, and both Yun Ruoyan and Liemo had quite a few in their storage rings. The three of them had barely taken 2 steps toward the inn when they saw a patrol team coming out from the left corner of the street. These people were all dressed in white warrior robes, and they were walking toward Yun Ruoyan's group. The three of them couldn't help but quicken their pace. "Stop!" A warrior at the front of the group called out to the three of them, and the three of them stopped in their tracks. "Who are you? Don't you know that there's a night curfew in Silver Dragon City?" the warrior asked as he walked toward the three of them. The three of them had all put on white cloaks before entering the city, and their hoods covered their heads and faces. The warrior walked up to Yun Ruoyan, who was closest to them, and grabbed her by the shoulder. When Liemo saw this, he grabbed the warrior's wrist and took off his hood with his other hand, revealing a face that looked as if it had been sculpted from ice. His silver hair fell over his shoulders, and his icy blue eyes stared coldly at the warrior. The guard immediately avoided Liemo's gaze as if he had been greatly frightened. In a panicked tone he said, "My lord, I was ordered to patrol the city and have offended you. Please forgive me." Empress Shuetong had once told them that the people of the extreme abyss continent were divided into different ranks. Apart from cultivation, there was also the color of one's hair. There were generally 3 types of hair: gray, silver gray, and pure silver. Those with pure silver hair had the noblest bloodline, followed by those with silver hair, and those with gray hair were the lowest existences. This was why the warrior had panicked so much when Liemo revealed a head of pure silver hair. Liemo let go of the warrior's hand. "I've just returned from somewhere else, and I'm not sure what's going on in Silver Dragon City for the curfew to be enforced." "My lord, the curfew was ordered by the first elder. I heard that a few low-ranked races from a low-ranked continent were trying to cause trouble. As a result, the entire city has tightened security measures," the warrior replied. "It's just a few lowly races. Is there really a need to go to such lengths?" Liemo asked. "I don't know. We're just following orders," the warrior replied. "I heard that one of them was captured not long ago in the Silver Dragon Castle. It's said that he's extremely powerful and killed many of the castle's experts. In the end, the first elder had to personally intervene to subdue him. However, the first elder was injured and is currently in seclusion to recover." "Got it. Go." With a flip of his hand, Liemo tossed a high-grade spirit stone to the guard. The guard glanced at it and Liemo beamed with joy. After thanking Liemo, he led his team back to patrol. When the three of them entered the inn, Liemo asked for 2 of the best rooms. The innkeeper, dressed in a thick fur coat, personally led the 3 of them upstairs. As he walked, he spoke incessantly. "The 3 of you are the first group of customers we've received in the past 10 days. What a curfew. It's a hindrance to our business. Silver Dragon City used to be so lively, but now it's so cold and deserted." The 3 of them didn't respond. The innkeeper muttered to himself, "Have you heard? In 3 days, someone from a low-ranked continent will be killed on the dragon-slaying platform." "We rushed back from the extreme north and we didn't know about this yet," Liemo replied. "Boss, is this information accurate? If it's true, we'll have to go take a look." "It's absolutely true. My younger brother works in the Dragon Fortress. How could his words be false?" The innkeeper said, "We've arrived. These are the 2 guest rooms. Please rest early, my 3 guests." The innkeeper retreated and the 3 of them entered a room. Yun Ruoyan saw a stove in the middle of the room with a kettle hanging over it. There was also a large white urn in the corner of the room. She walked over and opened the lid. Seeing that it was filled with clean water, she smiled. "So this is how the inn operates. No wonder the innkeeper didn't say that he'd send us hot water. She almost asked for it just now. Fortunately, she held back, otherwise it would be hard to get back." Liemo handed the kettle to Yun Ruoyan, then lit up some coal and started a fire. "I didn't expect that there would be someone from a low-ranked continent here." Yun Maxiao took off his hood and sat down by the stove. Yun Ruoyan filled the kettle and Liemo hung it over the stove. "Liemo, who do you think this person is? Could it be someone we know?" Yun Ruoyan sat down and looked at Liemo. Liemo frowned slightly. "Ruan, I'm afraid we're thinking of the same person." Liemo looked at Yun Ruoyan and the 2 of them spoke a name in unison. "Zhou Yifeng." "Feng." Yun Maxiao was a little surprised. "How could it be him? Didn't you say that he went missing on the Shuiyuan continent?" Although Yun Maxiao and Zhou Yifeng admired each other, They hadn't spent much time together, and their relationship wasn't that deep. Yun Maxiao didn't ask about the details of Zhou Yifeng's absence. Yun Ruoyan then told her brother about Zhou Yifeng's demonic transformation and disappearance. We don't know how he became demonic either, Yun Ruoyan replied. But now that I think about it, there was a long period of time when Zhou Yifeng wasn't himself. It's just that we were so busy with other things that we didn't notice. When Zhou Yifeng had suddenly confessed to her, Yun Ruoyan had been shocked and angry, but she hadn't thought of anything else. Moreover, Zhou Yifeng's cultivation had increased by leaps and bounds. These were all very strange things, but she hadn't noticed them. This made Yun Ruoyan feel very guilty. Liemo, if it really is Zhou Yifeng, we have to save him. Yun Ruoyan looked at the fire in the stove. Chapter 470. All right. Liemo looked at Yun Ruoyan with a single word. N. Yun Ruoyan smiled at him. Zhou Yifeng is our friend. Of course we have to save him, Yun Maxiao replied. We still have 3 days. Tomorrow we'll find out where that person is being held and confirm whether or not he's really Zhou Yifeng. Then we'll come up with a rescue plan. Yun Maxiao had been in the army for many years and he had fought his way up from the very bottom. He was far more experienced than Yun Ruoyan and Liemo when it came to rescuing people from prison. Early the next morning, Yun Ruoyan used some medicinal powder to disguise the two of them. Gray-haired people were of low status and were easily bullied and ostracized. Silver-haired people, on the other hand, were of high status and would attract too much attention. In order to make their movements easier in the city, Yun Ruoyan and Yun Maxiao had silver hair. When they went downstairs to eat, Yun Maxiao learned from the owner of the restaurant that there was a prison in the Silver Dragon Castle, which was used to detain criminals sentenced to death. The intruder from a low-level continent was most likely locked up in that prison. Their conversation quickly attracted a lot of attention. These silver dragons were very curious about the intruder from a low-tier continent. I've heard that the low-tier continents are barren and the spiritual energy there is thin. The people who live there have to eat raw meat and drink blood, a middle-aged man wearing a hat said. A few strands of gray hair peeked out from under his hat. What do you know? If that's what you say, would someone from a low-tier continent be able to kill so many experts from the castle? A silver-haired young man glanced at the middle-aged man disdainfully. Big brother. At this time, a silver-haired young man walked into the inn from outside. Oh, you're back. The innkeeper immediately greeted him with a smile. Why are you back at this hour? I've made an agreement with the kitchen in the Imperial City. In the future, all of the kitchen's vegetables will be provided by our shop. Some meat and other food will also be provided by you, big brother. This is the menu. The shopkeeper's younger brother took out a piece of paper and handed it over. The innkeeper took a look at the menu and immediately smiled. Wonderful. If we supply all of this, our income this year will increase several-fold. Come, brother, let's go to the back and talk. As the two brothers walked to the back of the inn, Yun Ruoyan heard the innkeeper ask, Do you want us to provide food for the prisoners? Brother, what's so good about prison food? You're always thinking about it. You don't understand. If the leftovers in our restaurant can be used as prison meals, wouldn't that be a free profit? All right then, I'll go back and ask. Yun Ruoyan's group of 3 exchanged glances. They'd clearly heard the conversation between the two brothers. All 3 of them had the same idea. In the past 2 days, the 3 of them had been familiarizing themselves with the surroundings on the streets. Eventually, they arrived at the gate of the Silver Dragon Castle. The security at the city gate was very tight, and there were portraits of about a dozen people on both sides of the city wall. The 3 of them leaned over to take a look. To their surprise, there were portraits of the 3 of them. However, none of them had disguised themselves and Liemo hadn't changed his appearance either, so he wasn't afraid of being recognized. Hey brother, what kind of people are those portraits on the wall? Yun Maxiao grabbed an elderly man wearing a hat and asked. Usually those who wore hats were gray-haired, low-ranking silver dragons and they were easier to talk to. Those? Other than the 3 black-haired ones, they're from a low-ranking continent. The rest are members of the magical bandits, the elder replied. Oh, so they're from the magical bandits. Thank you, elder. Yun Maxiao really wanted to know who the magical bandits were. He didn't dare to ask for fear of exposing himself. However, after the incident, the 3 of them still managed to find out what kind of existence the magical bandits were. It was said that there used to be 3 races on the extreme Abyss continent. the silver dragons, the demonic dragons and the demonic cultivators. Later, both the demonic dragons and the demonic cultivators withered away, leaving only the silver dragons. The demonic dragons completely disappeared, but the remnants of the demonic cultivators formed the magical bandits. The demonic cultivators of the magical bandits burned, killed and plundered. Even after tens of thousands of years, they still hadn't been eradicated. On the wall were some of the leaders of the magical bandits. As the saying went, the enemy of an enemy was a friend. To a certain extent, these members of the magical bandits were friends of Yun Ruoyan's trio, and it wouldn't be a bad thing to get to know them. According to their observations, the Silver Dragon Castle was not only heavily guarded, but the castle walls were also exceptionally tall. The walls weren't made of stone, but rather seemed to be carved out of an enormous block of ice. They were so slippery that even Li Mo couldn't climb them. So far, the three of them had only discovered two ways to enter the castle: through the front door or by flying on their swords. From time to time, the three of them would see swords flying into the castle from afar. However, if Yun Ruoyan's trio were to use this method, they would likely be killed by hidden experts before they could even reach the castle walls. The three of them even purposely probed the cultivation of the people around them. The weakest among them was a beggar on the side of the street, roughly equivalent to a 9th-rank blade master. Even the shopkeeper was a peak-rank blade master. This result was quite a setback for Yun Moxiao. The three of them spent the next 3 days familiarizing themselves with the Silver Dragon Castle and its surroundings. On the evening of the third day, Yun Moxiao invited the innkeeper into his room for a table full of good food and wine. "Thank you for taking care of me these past few days. Here's a toast to you." Yun Moxiao toasted the innkeeper. "You're too kind, my friends." The innkeeper finished his wine and was slightly tipsy. "It's my honor to have the three of you here. I can tell that the three of you aren't ordinary people." The three of them had been staying in the inn for the past few days, and they were very generous with their spending spirit stones like flowing water. The banquet table in front of them was worth more than 100 high-grade spirit stones, and it was specially booked from the famous Soaring Dragon Hotel in the city. People liked generous people, and the innkeeper was even more so. "When the three of you entered the inn that night, I noticed that the three of you looked very familiar." The innkeeper said, "The three of you look like the people on the portrait posted outside the gate of the Dragon Castle." When the three of them heard this, their hearts skipped a beat, and they prepared to take out their weapons to silence the innkeeper. But the innkeeper's relaxed expression didn't seem to indicate that he knew anything. The innkeeper burped and pointed at the three of them with a finger. "You're from the demon thieves, aren't you?" The three of them heaved a sigh of relief. After a long while, Li Mo asked, "You don't seem to be afraid of the demon thieves." "Others might be, but I'm not." The shopkeeper smiled and said, "Because I have dealt with the magical thieves before. My shop has received them before." The innkeeper lowered his voice. "They're not as cruel as people say they are. They only kill people in the castle or those who are related to the important figures in the castle. They won't do anything to ordinary people like us. As long as they don't hurt me, I'll just do my business and pretend to be blind and deaf." "Innkeeper, you're right. The people who destroyed my sect were the Silver Dragon Elders and their lackeys, not the commoners," Yun Moxiao said. Yun Moxiao continued, "That's why we have a business proposition with you. Would you be interested?" As soon as Yun Moxiao's voice fell, Li Mo took off a storage ring from his hand and said, "There are 10,000 high-grade spirit stones in this ring. If you're willing to do this business, these spirit stones are all yours." The shopkeeper stared at the storage ring with a greedy glint in his eyes. He wiped his mouth with his hand and said, "What business? Tell me, as long as it doesn't kill me, I'll do it." The innkeeper's avaricious nature was ingrained in his bones. The three of them catered to his tastes, and it worked. "To tell you the truth, we chose to stay at your inn because we knew that you had a brother working in the castle. A good friend of ours has been imprisoned in Dragon Castle, and we'd like to see him one last time. We'd like to ask the innkeeper to help us talk to your lord and find a way to let us see him one last time," Yun Moxiao said. "Well," the innkeeper looked troubled. "My brother is a cautious man, so this won't be easy." "High risk comes with high reward," Yun Ruoyan replied. She took off a storage ring from her finger and placed it next to Li Mo's ring. "I still have 5,000 high-grade spirit stones here. If you're willing to take the risk, all of them are yours." The innkeeper rubbed his hands together in excitement. After a long while he finally made up his mind. I'll give it a try. I'll let you know tomorrow night. The three of them waited in the inn for an entire day. By the second night, not only was the innkeeper's brother unwilling to help them, but he had even reprimanded the innkeeper. If that's the case, we'll have to think of something else, Yun Moxiao said helplessly. The innkeeper, however, wasn't in a hurry to leave. After a moment's hesitation he said, I have another idea. Would the three of you be willing to give it a try? What is it? The three of them asked. My brother sent word today that he's taken over the prison food business in the castle. From now on we'll be in charge of making and delivering prison meals. The three of you can disguise yourselves as prison food deliverers and sneak in. Sure. The three of them's eyes lit up. All right, it's settled then, the innkeeper said. We'll start making the first batch of prison meals in 2 days. But let me warn you, if you're exposed, don't drag me down with you. That won't happen. We're just going to see him off and ask if he has any unfulfilled wishes. Besides, the castle's impenetrable and the three of us won't be able to save him, Yun Ruoyan said, handing her storage ring to the innkeeper. Yun Ruoyan handed her storage ring to the shopkeeper. Take this as a deposit and we'll give you the other 10,000 once we're back from visiting our brother. The innkeeper took the 5,000 high-grade spirit stones and left with a smile. 2 days later, before dawn, Yun Ruoyan, Li Mo and Yun Moxiao donned the innkeeper's uniforms and dragged a cart full of leftovers toward the castle. Chapter 471. The person leading the way was a short, low-ranked servant from the castle. The city gates weren't open yet, so the errand boy led the three of them into the castle through a side door. After an hour they finally arrived in front of the dungeon. The journey was very smooth. Over there. The three of them thought that they'd be able to enter the dungeons immediately, but the errand boy pointed to the side. Aren't we going to the dungeons now? Yun Ruoyan asked, seeing that the errand boy was pointing in the opposite direction. Your store's trash has to be cleaned before it can be eaten, right? The errand boy glanced sideways at Yun Ruoyan. Prisoners are humans too and they need to eat something warm. Brother, you're right. Let's go right now. Yun Moxiao drove the carriage in the direction that the short servant had pointed. After entering what appeared to be a kitchen, the servant instructed Yun Ruoyan and the other two to pour the leftovers from the 3 large wooden buckets into a large cauldron, then heat them up before serving them out. In the future, all the food you bring in will have to be heated up here before being sent to the dungeons, understood? Yes, I'll do as you say. Yun Moxiao smiled. After that, they pulled 3 wooden buckets filled with hot food back to the prison. The leftover food in the wooden buckets was originally cold and tasteless, but once it was heated up, a strange sour smell wafted out. The guards at the prison door pinched their noses and urged them to hurry in. Then they pushed the carriage into the prison. By then, the sky was already starting to brighten and it was time to distribute the food. Under the errand boy's instructions, the three of them divided the food in the large buckets into smaller wooden buckets, and then each of them carried a small bucket and began to distribute the food to the cells one by one. Yun Ruoyan looked to her left and right. There were nearly 100 prisoners in the entire dungeon, but the three of them didn't know where Zhou Yifeng was. In fact, they couldn't even begin to guess whether he was even here. All they could do was search as they distributed the food. After a round of distribution of food, Yun Ruoyan raised her head and saw that the errand boy, who had been standing there with his hands on his hips, had disappeared. Liamo, brother, did you see that shorty? Yun Ruoyan asked. I saw him head in that direction. What? Yun Moxiao asked. Yun Ruoyan placed the wooden bucket on the ground and whispered, Don't you think that shorty's a little strange? Both Yun Moxiao and Liamo put down their buckets. Yen, did you discover something? Liamo asked. I didn't find anything. Yun Ruoyan frowned. But although that shorty looks like an errand boy, he doesn't speak or act like one. Rather, he seems more like a leader of some sort. Yes, that's indeed the feeling, Yun Moxiao agreed. Could it be that there's something strange about this errand boy? I'm starving. Are you going to give me food? That's right. We only have 1 meal a day. Don't tell me you don't give us anything? Why don't you just kill us now? Why let us poor people starve to death? The prisoners who hadn't had their meals yet began to protest when they saw Yun Ruoyan, Liamo, and Liamo huddled together and chatted. Almost all of these prisoners had been sentenced to death, and their cultivations had been crippled. In the past they could abstain from eating, but now they needed food to sustain their lives. The feeling of extreme hunger that they hadn't experienced for so long was like a blunt knife cutting into their flesh, making them wish they were dead. All right, he's coming. Yun Maxiao hurriedly motioned for them to keep quiet. If they alerted the jailers, they wouldn't be able to do as they pleased. Brother, leave the food here. Liamo and I'll go take a look, Yun Ruian instructed her brother. All right. Yun Maxiao nodded, then began placing the food in each bucket. As he did so, he said, "Don't worry if there's not enough food for you today, I'll make sure you're full tomorrow." Yun Ruian and Li Mo chased after the errand boy. Over there. Li Mo scanned the errand boy's location with his spiritual sense and pulled Yun Ruian along. The two of them hid in a corner, where the errand boy was standing in front of a cell not far from them. There were black stone walls everywhere. Only the place where the short servant was standing had a prison cell. The iron door of the cell was very high. The short servant was leaning against the iron door, but he didn't seem to be half as tall as the iron door. Supreme. The errand boy called out to the only cell. "I've come to see you and I've brought some medicine for your wounds." "All right, toss it in," a sinister voice rang out. Yun Ruian and Li Mo glanced at each other, their eyes brightening. This sinister voice was one they were familiar with. It was the voice that had come from Zhou Yifeng's mouth back on the Netherworld continent, and the owner of the voice was a demonic spirit. "Yes, Supreme," the errand boy replied respectfully. The short servant replied respectfully. Then a ball of black rose from his feet and dragged his entire body up. He then took out a cloth bag from his bosom and threw it into the cell through the small opening above the iron door. The errand boy bowed toward the metal door and was about to leave when the sinister voice suddenly called out, "Where did you come from, friend? What are you up to?" The short man bowed to the iron gate and was about to leave when the evil voice suddenly said, "Where did this friend come from? What are you trying to do by sneaking around?" The short servant immediately stopped and looked around vigilantly. He said, "Who's here? Come out." Yun Ruian and Li Mo walked out from the corner of the room. "It's Li Mo," Li Mo replied. "It's Li Mo," the sinister voice rang out from the cell. "And the other person must be Yun Ruian." "That's me," Yun Ruian replied. The demon soul let out a series of strange laughter. "You two little guys are really not afraid of death. You actually came here. Where's that old demon dragon? He must have instigated you to come here. Tell him to come out and see me." "The demonic dragon ancestor isn't here," Yun Ruian replied. "He isn't here? How could that be? If he wasn't here, he wouldn't have asked you to take such a risk." The demonic spirit didn't believe Yun Ruian's words. "Cut the crap. Hurry up and have him help me escape. Doesn't he want to deal with the silver dragon ancestor? I'm willing to join forces with him to kill him." "I'm afraid we won't be able to help you fulfill that wish of yours," Yun Ruian replied. "The demonic dragon ancestor has reached the limit of his lifespan and ascended." "What did you say?" "He ascended?" The demonic spirit paused for a moment before replying, "How could that be? He's the demonic dragon ancestor and he was once the closest to the peak of cultivation. How could he have ascended?" "The demonic dragon ancestor has indeed ascended," Li Mo replied. "But if you want to cooperate, we can consider it." Li Mo and Yun Ruian had already walked up to the metal door. The short servant glared at the two of them and moved to the side. "Shorty, keep a lookout at the door," the demonic spirit instructed. "Yes, Senior." The short servant glanced at Yun Ruian and Li Mo, then left to keep a lookout. The metal door to the cell was so tall that Yun Ruian had to stand on her tiptoes to see through the small window. The cell was also dark. Yun Ruian infused her eyes with spiritual energy, and finally saw a familiar thin figure, Zhou Yifeng. "Zhou Yifeng." Yun Ruian called out suddenly. The figure suddenly turned around and a pair of bright eyes met Yun Ruian's. "We're here to save you," Yun Ruian continued. Zhou Yifeng stood up and took 2 steps forward, but it was as if some kind of power was binding him. He only took 2 steps before he was unable to move forward. "Ruian, you shouldn't have come here." After Zhou Yifeng uttered a sound that belonged to him, his bright eyes were slowly covered by a blood-red hue. "So you're here to save Zhou Yifeng?" Zhou Yifeng's sinister voice rang out once more. "As expected of a sentimental girl. His infatuation with you isn't in vain. Even I've been touched by him. Are you touched as well?" Demon, don't spout nonsense. Zhou Yifeng and I are just friends and I only saved him out of friendship. Yun Ruoyan replied angrily. Oh, I see, the demonic spirit laughed. The devil's spirit laughed strangely. If Zhou Yifeng heard your words he would probably be sad. After all, he became my puppet step by step in order to help you. What a silly child. What do you mean by that? Yun Ruoyan questioned. What do you mean by that? Little girl, do you still remember when you were captured by Thunderbolt Heaven and locked in a secret prison in the Nether Abyss Continent's City Lord's mansion? Zhou Yifeng was also captured in order to save you. It was at that time that Zhou Yifeng agreed to share a body with me in order to save you as soon as possible. He used my power and I took control of his body step by step. Do you think Zhou Yifeng became like this because of you? Yun Ruoyan's hands gripped the metal door tighter and tighter. She had never known that Zhou Yifeng had sacrificed so much for her. Liemo placed a hand on Yun Ruoyan's shoulder, then slowly tightened his grip. Everything Zhou Yifeng did was of his own free will. It's not your fault. But he did all of that for me. Yun Ruoyan turned back to Liemo, her beautiful eyes filled with tears. Zhou Yifeng was the first friend she had made after her rebirth, and the one she trusted the most. Yet this friend of hers had sacrificed himself for her. Only now did she realize that it was impossible for Yun Ruoyan not to blame herself for her actions. That's why we have to save him, then do our best to make it up to him, Liemo continued. All right, we have to save him, then make it up to him. Yun Ruoyan nodded. What do you want in exchange for letting Zhou Yifeng go? You can state your conditions now. Chapter 472. When Zhou Yifeng's thin, weary figure appeared in front of them, the second brother, third brother, and even the 10th brother were all stunned. Brother, you're saying that he's the senior? A tall, thin youth pointed at Zhou Yifeng. The other 6 youths looked at each other, their expressions clearly suspicious. None of them had ever seen the legendary senior of the demon race. But this man who had suddenly been pulled out of his slumber, was abnormally thin and pale, and didn't have the slightest hint of the domineering aura of a demon. Brother, don't be rude. Before the shorty could reprimand his brother, Zhou Yifeng opened his blood-red eyes. His gaze swept across the 6 youths, and they immediately felt their souls tremble. Their legs wobbled and they all fell to their knees, trembling uncontrollably. Forgive us, senior, these are my brothers from the demonic bandits. Their cultivation and foresight are too shallow and they've offended you. The demon's spirit closed his eyes and retracted his aura. I need to go into seclusion immediately to recuperate. The demonic bandits immediately arranged a place for the demon's spirit to recuperate. Yun Ruoyan and the others wanted to leave, but they were stopped by the other demonic bandits. Brother Shorty, what's the meaning of this? Yun Maxiao asked. Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo's expressions were grim. But Yun Maxiao was the only one who could maintain a smile. You're all the senior's friends, so of course we have to treat you well. The only woman among the 6 youths spoke up. The only female among the 6 said, also, our big brother has a name. His name is Huang Chuan. Oh, Brother Huang. Yun Maxiao immediately corrected himself. What do you mean? We're just hoping to keep the 3 of you here for a few days, Huang Chuan replied. If the senior doesn't see you when he comes out of seclusion, he'll surely blame us for not being a good host. That won't be necessary, Yun Ruoyan replied. We still have things to do. Once your senior comes out of seclusion, we'll come find him. We'll be staying at the Spirit Cloud Tavern and you can come find us if you want. The shorty said helplessly, to tell you the truth, we never let anyone other than the magicians know about this place. It's not that I don't trust you, it's just that the High Lord is currently recuperating and we don't want to complicate matters. So if you want to leave, please wait for the High Lord to recover and listen to his arrangements. Although Yun Ruoyan wasn't happy with their insistence, she agreed to their request to stay until the demonic spirit emerged from seclusion. Considering that they might be useful to her in the future, she agreed to their request. Brother Huang, I made a promise to the prisoners in prison today. You have to help me with this matter, Yun Maxiao said. Don't worry, it's a small matter. Huang Chuan was in charge of delivering food to the prisoners, so it was not difficult for him to add some good ingredients to the daily pig feed. Big brother Huang Mo Ling was rescued by you guys. Once the prison guards find out that he's not in the prison, will you be suspicious? Yun Ruoyan's question caused the 6 members of the bandit group to look nervously at Huang Chuan. Don't worry. The High Lord is locked up there and no one visits him even once a month. No one will notice his absence so quickly, Huang Chuan replied nonchalantly. The demon spirit didn't need to eat or drink and he was bound by a restriction. Under normal circumstances, no one would look after him, unless the first elder of the Silver Dragon clan suddenly thought of him. I've been locked up in a prison for more than 100 years. By the time someone finds out, they won't suspect a lowly dwarf like me, Huang Chuan replied. 5 days later, the demon spirit's recovery was finally complete, and the group immediately began to discuss how they would enter the dragon castle and reach their respective goals. The demon spirit had only one goal: to obtain the holy water and reconstruct his body. In addition to the holy water, Yun Ruoyan's group also needed to locate Empress Xuetong's body. The holy water was hidden in a secret chamber in the Silver Dragon Divine Hall. The security there was very tight and only that old thing Silver Dragon could enter. It took me almost half a year to sneak in and I was only one step away from reaching my goal, but I was injured by the restriction and ambush that Silver Dragon had set up outside the secret chamber. The demon spirit's face was full of anger. Liemo took out the map of the dragon castle that Empress Xuetong had prepared for him and spread it out on the table. Is this the Silver Dragon Temple you speak of? Liemo asked, pointing to a spot on the map that read Silver Dragon Temple. When Empress Xuetong had given them the map, she had mentioned that she hadn't returned to the extreme abyss continent in 100 years, and that the map could only be used as a reference. Yes, this is the place, the demon spirit replied. This map was left behind by the demonic dragon ancestor before he died, wasn't it? Liemo neither confirmed nor denied the demon spirit's claim. Instead, he changed the topic and asked, have there been any changes to the internal structure of the temple? The sacred palace is a forbidden area for the silver dragons, and only the first elder and their holy maiden are allowed to enter. I've only been there once, so how would I know what it's like? The demon spirit glanced at Liemo strangely. Why are you asking about this? Do you have any other goals other than the holy water? Liemo exchanged a glance with the demon spirit, considering whether or not he should tell him about his mother. If they entered the temple together, they might need the demon spirit's help. Moreover, if the demon spirit became suspicious, even if he didn't ask about the cause and effect, he would surely keep an eye on them. In that case, it would be better to lay the matter out in the open. As a result, Liemo told the demon spirit about Empress Xuetong's body. Apart from the holy water, we'll also need to retrieve my mother's body, Liemo began. That won't be easy, the demon spirit replied. The demonic spirit said directly, I've already alerted the enemy. That old guy Silver Dragon must be guarding against you now. It's not easy to get the holy water and it's almost impossible to get a body out of the temple. Liemo fell silent. The demon spirit's words were exactly what he was worried about. In that case, we might as well kill the Silver Dragon Elder. Without his interference, it'll be much easier for us to kill him. If we all work together, we might be able to kill him. Yun Ruoyan nodded. Because of Qiuqiu's existence in the pocket dimension, Yun Ruoyan was very confident. Qiuqiu was her secret weapon and she hadn't let Qiuqiu out all this time. Who knew, at the critical moment, it might become the Silver Dragon Elder's fatal blow. It won't be that easy, the demon spirit replied. Not only is the Silver Dragon a powerful cultivator, but he also lives in seclusion within the dragon castle. Killing him will be incredibly difficult. The crowd fell silent once more. Things are dead but people are alive, Yun Maxiao suddenly spoke up. Brother, have you thought of a good idea? Yun Ruoyan turned to her brother. I haven't thought of a specific plan, but think about it. The temple is dead, the secret chamber is dead, and even the holy water and Empress Xuetong's body are dead. If we don't go in, they won't be able to get out. Brother, what do you mean? Yun Ruoyan pressed. What I mean is, if the Silver Dragon Elder is alive, is there a way to lure him out of the castle? It'd be best if we could lure him into an ambush, Yun Maxiao suggested. Can we come up with a plan to lure him into our trap? The crowd continued to remain silent, but not because they were at a loss. Rather, it was because they were thinking of a way to lure the Silver Dragon Elder out of the castle. But I have something to say. Huang Chuan, who had been standing to the side, bowed to the demon spirit. Speak. 3 of my brothers used to work in the castle, and they received a piece of news not long ago, Huang Chuan began. The current holy maiden of the Silver Dragon clan often goes out to play in disguise. Could we use her as bait to lure the Silver Dragon elder out? Huang Chuan had already thought of this idea a long time ago, but the demon spirit Yun Ruoyan and the others hadn't appeared at that time. They didn't have the confidence to kill the Silver Dragon elder, and luring him out would be suicidal. Now, however, the situation was different. All 6 of them were at least peak swordsmen, and with Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo's help, the demon spirit's cultivation was even more unfathomable. If they were to gang up on the Silver Dragon elder, they would have a good chance of winning. I've heard from Mother that the Holy Maiden is very important to the Silver Dragon clan. If we capture her, the Silver Dragon First Elder will be very anxious, Li Mo said. The Holy Maiden's importance to the Silver Dragon clan was evident from the incident with Empress Xue Tong. Back when Empress Xue Tong had escaped to the Qinyuan continent, she had been found by the Silver Dragon elders, who had retrieved her body and stored it in the shrine. Empress Xue Tong had also told him that the Holy Maiden's life was particularly dull, and that her freedom was restricted. She wasn't allowed to interact with men, which was why she had fled so desperately. It seemed that the current Holy Maiden, like Empress Xue Tong, was fed up with life in the demonic dragon castle and had sneaked out to seek entertainment. That's indeed a good idea, the demon spirit agreed. Mo Ling agreed. He then turned to Huang Chuan and ordered, "Tell your 3 brothers to keep a close eye on this saint lady. If she sneaks out again, immediately report to me." Huang Chuan replied sadly, "When my 3 brothers found out that you'd been captured, they accidentally exposed themselves in order to find out your whereabouts. I'm afraid they're all in dire straits by now." Mo Ling, who always had a sinister temperament, showed a rare expression of emotion. He stood up from his seat and his sinister voice became a bit solemn. "This lord will remember your loyalty. This lord will definitely avenge them." "Thank you, senior." Huang Chuan bowed once more. "Brother Huang, you've lived here for so many years. I'm sure you have a way for us to sneak into the castle. It'd be best if we could get close to the Holy Maiden," Yun Ruoyan suggested. Huang Chuan thought for a moment. "As far as I know, the current Holy Maiden has a fiery temper, and her personal maids usually don't last more than a month." He turned to Yun Ruoyan and continued, "If you're willing, Miss Yun, I can think of a way to get you into the castle as the Holy Maiden's personal maid." Chapter 473. I'm willing. No. 2 voices rang out simultaneously, Yun Ruoyan's and Li Mo's. "Would you 2 like to discuss this?" Huang Chuan looked hesitant. "No, I'm willing," Yun Ruoyan hurriedly added. It's too dangerous." Li Mo frowned at Yun Ruoyan. "The Silver Dragon Elder has seen your face before. What if he recognizes you?" "Ruoyan brother-in-law's right," Yun Ma Xiao agreed, then turned to Huang Chuan. "Is there anyone looking for a male servant?" Huang Chuan shook his head. "A holy maiden must be as pure as ice and as pure as jade, and no other men can approach her except the first elder." "So I'll go," Yun Ruoyan insisted. "I can disguise myself so that I won't be recognized, and I have Qiuqiu with me. I'm a 2nd-level sword saint now, and with Qiuqiu's protection, it shouldn't be a problem for me to escape if I encounter any danger." As long as her enemies weren't waiting for her, Yun Ruoyan was confident that she would be able to escape as quickly as possible if her identity was discovered. After such a long period of training, not only had her cultivation increased, but she had also developed a forte: escaping. "Li Mo, there really doesn't seem to be any other way but to let the girl take a risk," the demon said. Li Mo glanced at the demon coldly. Didn't he know that this was the best course of action at the moment? More importantly, how could he allow Yun Ruoyan's safety to escape his grasp? If anything were to happen to Yun Ruoyan, all of this would be meaningless. "Brother Li, I can think of a way for you to enter the castle as a guard. Although you won't be able to stay with Madame Li, you'll still be able to save her if anything happens. What do you think?" Huang Chuan could see Li Mo's concerns, so he proposed a compromise. "Brother Huang, why didn't you say so earlier? Since you're so capable, why don't you get me in as well?" "No." Huang Chuan refused without even thinking about it. "Why not?" Yun Ma Xiao didn't understand. "Because you don't have the bloodline of the Silver Dragon race." Huang Chuan said, "Those without the bloodline of the Silver Dragon race are not qualified to enter the Dragon Castle." According to Huang Chuan, although the Silver Dragon clan reigned supreme on the extreme Abyss continent, there were still a few other clans. All of the non-humans were mixed in with the gray hair. For example, he and his other 6 brothers did not have the silver dragon bloodline. The 3 brothers with the silver dragon bloodline had most likely all been killed. How do you know I don't have the silver dragon race's bloodline? Yun Maxiao asked doubtfully. My hair has been dyed a silver-gray color that's almost indistinguishable from the real thing. The silver dragon bloodline manifests itself on the surface, and the most direct way to tell is through the color of your hair. Is there any other way to detect it? Of course. Anyone who wants to enter the dragon castle has to undergo a blood test. Only those who are tested to have the silver dragon bloodline can work in the dragon castle. But you didn't test my blood. Yun Maxiao frowned. Furthermore, my sister Yun Ruoyan doesn't have the silver dragon bloodline, so she can't enter the dragon castle either. Huang Chuan looked at Yun Ruoyan and narrowed his eyes. No, she has the silver dragon bloodline. Although it's a small amount, it's enough. That's impossible. Yun Maxiao exclaimed. I'm a demon and my talent is to detect the purity of a person's bloodline, Huang Chuan continued. Huang Chuan said, when I first saw you I could tell that you weren't members of the Silver Dragon clan. Because Brother Yun doesn't have the Silver Dragon bloodline, and Madame Li's Silver Dragon bloodline is extremely weak, I let my guard down. Yun Maxiao still refused to believe it, but Liu Mo looked at Yun Ruoyan's abdomen, his eyes flashing. Holding her hand he asked, Yen, are you pregnant again? Yun Ruoyan could only nod. Yes. A few days before we entered the extreme abyss continent, I discovered that I was pregnant again. I had to come to the extreme abyss continent, but you wouldn't have agreed if you'd known I was pregnant, so I could only hide it from you. Seeing Li Mo's expression darken, Yun Ruoyan continued. Last time, you didn't allow me to enter the abyssal continent with you because I was injured, but I stubbornly followed you. After that, we stayed on the abyssal continent for many years. Although we experienced many dangers, we were both fine. This time will be the same. I believe that as long as we're together, we'll do our best to protect each other, even if there's danger. Yun Ruoyan had learned this truth in real life. Every time she was on the brink of death, she would be filled with fighting spirit as long as she thought of Li Mo waiting for her not far away. She hoped that Li Mo would feel the same way. Ah. Li Mo sighed. Now that things have come to this, I can't send you back immediately even if I wanted to. Qiuqiu could tear through space but he couldn't, and Qiuqiu seemed to only listen to Yun Ruoyan. Li Mo, trust me. Yun Ruoyan looked at Li Mo. Before I was only one person, so I was easily impulsive. Now that I'm 2 people, I'll definitely take care of myself for the little fellow. In the end, they agreed that Yun Ruoyan would enter the dragon castle and wait for an opportunity to become the Holy Maiden's personal maidservant. Li Mo would follow her into the castle as a guard. The others would wait outside for news of Yun Ruoyan's return. After capturing the Holy Maiden, they would set up a trap to surround and kill the first elder. They waited in the courtyard for another 3 days before Huang Chuan's good news finally arrived. That afternoon he brought Yun Ruoyan to the dragon castle. The castle was divided into 3 layers. The first layer was the outer layer where the prison and the guards' residences were located. Beyond the outer layer was the middle layer, where the important members of the Silver Dragon clan lived and where they handled their affairs. The last layer was the most important part of the castle. The Divine Hall was in the center, and so were the palaces of the Holy Maiden and the First Elder. Huang Chuan brought Yun Ruoyan to the outskirts of the prison and waited near the prison. Not long after, a middle-aged woman appeared in the distance. She had a head of silver hair, and although it wasn't as pure as Li Mo's, she would still stand out in a crowd. Mammy Li, you're here. Huang Chuan immediately stepped forward with his 2 short legs. Huang Chuan, the little girl you sent last time is not good. She's too delicate. As soon as Mammy Li approached, she immediately complained to Huang Chuan. The Holy Maiden just slapped her and she was so scared that she trembled all over. The Holy Maiden was so angry. Mammy Li, calm down. Huang Chuan took out a bag of 100 upper-level spirit stones from his arms and stuffed them into Mammy Li's hands. Mammy Li weighed the spirit stones in her hands and looked a little better. She said to Huang Chuan, you must have earned a lot from the families of these girls, right? Of course, Huang Chuan would never dare to forget Nanny's kindness. If this woman can win the favor of the saintess, Huang Chuan will be filial to Nanny. Huang Chuan said with a flattering smile. If these girls can win the favor of the Holy Maiden after entering the Dragon Castle, they will get very valuable rewards. You will definitely get a share of the rewards. It's your duty to honor me, Mammy Li said coldly. Mammy Li said very coldly. The bag of upper-grade spiritual stones had been put into her space ring. It's my duty, my duty. Huang Chuan spared no effort in flattering her. Mammy Li would definitely not tell Huang Chuan that although the Holy Maiden was generous, she had an eccentric temper. Everyone loved money, but they loved their lives more. There were no maids in the entire Dragon Castle who dared to serve the Holy Maiden, so she asked Huang Chuan to find a new maid. Fortunately, Huang Chuan was a sensible man. He didn't keep all the benefits to himself, so he was a long-term partner. Let me have a look at the goods this time. Mammy Li's eyes fell on Yun Ruoyan. Raise your head and let me look at you. Yun Ruoyan, who had been standing there with her head down, finally raised her head. Mammy Li frowned and said, better than the last one. I'll take her. Yun Ruoyan lowered her head again and thought to herself, I look better than the last one. How ugly was the last one? No wonder the Holy Maiden is angry. No one will be in a good mood when facing such an ugly face. Before setting off, Yun Ruoyan had disguised herself, but Huang Chuan said she was too beautiful and couldn't do it. Then he asked her to make herself look like this, an ugly woman with inverted eyes, a flat nose and thick lips. With her current appearance, she would be ugly even on the Qinyuan continent, let alone on the extreme Abyss continent. Most of the silver dragon women Yun Ruoyan had seen on the streets were beautiful. Only a few were slightly uglier, perhaps because they didn't have enough silver dragon blood in their veins, but they were still far more pleasing to the eye than Yun Ruoyan was right now. Go and serve the Holy Maiden well. Your family and I will wait for your good news, Huang Chuan said from behind Yun Ruoyan. Yun Ruoyan followed Mammy Li to the middle gate. At the gate there was a routine check. The guard pricked Yun Ruoyan's finger with a special silver needle, and then the needle turned into a very light blue color. No problem. You can go in now, the guard said. Yun Ruoyan followed Mammy Li forward. The Dragon Castle was very spacious, and it took them less than an hour to pass through the innermost gate and enter the core area. Yun Ruoyan estimated that the Dragon Castle was half the size of the Silver Dragon City. In such a large space, everything was very quiet. Both men and women were dressed in silver, and their steps were orderly and silent. Obviously, they had been specially trained, and all of them were as beautiful as flowers. Yun Ruoyan couldn't help but feel strange. Shouldn't the maidservants of the Holy Maiden have been strictly trained? Why did they find such an ugly maidservant from outside? While Yun Ruoyan was lost in thought, Mammy Li, who was walking in front of her, turned around and said, I don't know what your level of cultivation is, but you must remember not to use it in the Dragon Castle. Otherwise, the consequences will be severe. I understand, Yun Ruoyan said obediently. Chapter 474. Seeing that Yun Ruoyan was very cautious, Mammy Li thought that she was frightened by her conversation with Huang Chuan, so she said, in fact, the Holy Virgin is not so scary, although she has a bad temper. Remember, when serving the Holy Virgin you must be patient and careful. You can't be fragile. You can't cry after being beaten by the Holy Virgin. While talking, they had arrived at the center of the Dragon Castle. Yun Ruoyan was led into a rather gorgeous white palace by Mammy Li. This is the palace where the Holy Virgin lives. Follow me and don't look around. Mammy Li walked all the way and Yun Ruoyan followed closely. The palace was very large and there were several courtyards. Yun Ruoyan was not a person with a good sense of direction. After walking for a few laps, she couldn't tell the directions. Along the way they met a lot of patrolling warriors. Like the palace maids they met before, their movements were neat and uniform and there was no sound. These were the results of strict training. The Holy Virgin is inside. Wait for me. I'll go in first. Mammy Li stopped outside a large room with Yun Ruoyan. She asked Yun Ruoyan to wait outside and went in. Yun Ruoyan looked around. She had no idea where she was now. She couldn't help but be annoyed that she forgot that she had no sense of direction. It seemed that she had to spend some time to figure out the way here in the future. Mammy Li, tell me, how many palace maids have you found? At this time a pleasant female voice came from inside. Every one of them is so useless. They only make me angry. I think you are also a useless old man. It was a pleasant voice, but the words that came out of it weren't pleasant at all. In fact, it was very vulgar. Oh, little ancestor. Mammy Li lowered her voice and shouted, "Where did you learn these vulgar words? Don't let the first elder hear it or I will lose my life." Mammy Li lowered her voice and said, "What are you talking about? I know. I'll only say it in front of you. He won't hear it." The Holy Virgin was very angry at first, but now she smiled and said, "Mammy, bring him up. I'm so anxious that no one plays with me these days." All right. Mammy Li said dotingly, "Little ancestor, you have to be gentle this time. If you beat them away again, I don't know where to find more people for you." I know. Nanny, you are so long-winded." As soon as Yun Ruian heard the conversation between the old and the young, she felt that this saintess had a childish temperament. This kind of person was easy to get along with but also difficult to get along with. It all depended on whether they were to one's liking. Once they were to one's liking, everything could be discussed, but once they weren't, they would immediately leave. I thought that the holy maidens were as cold as Empress Xue Tong, who didn't show their emotions easily. But it turns out that there are such unruly and willful holy maidens out there, Yun Ruian thought. Suddenly she heard footsteps. Granny Li had come out to summon her. Yun Ruian hurriedly gathered her thoughts, lowered her head and crossed her arms. She stood very straight. She had learned this posture from a passing palace maid, so she should be able to do it well. Seeing Yun Ruian's appearance, Mammy Li praised her in her heart. "This girl looked silly at first, but I didn't expect her to be honest. But if she wants to serve the saintess well, I'm afraid it's not enough to be honest. Forget it, it's better to find a few more spares during this time. If she is beaten out, she can be replaced." Yun Ruian heard Mammy Li sigh slightly. Although she didn't know why she suddenly sighed, she couldn't help but pay more attention in her heart. This saintess certainly couldn't be taken away by common sense. "Come in, I'll take you to see the saintess." Mammy Li waved to Yun Ruian, and Yun Ruian followed her into the big house. The inside of the house was more luxurious, and the walls were almost inlaid with upper-grade spirit stones. To put it bluntly, there were 4 tall spirit stone walls, and the spirit stone walls were decorated with jade and gold. There were even some decorations that Yun Ruian couldn't name, but she knew at a glance that they were extremely valuable. In this luxurious house there was no figure of the saintess. Yun Ruian stood in the empty house with Mammy Li. She no longer looked around, nor did she speak. Mammy Li said, "Saintess, I've brought her to you. Come out and have a look." "I've seen her. She's very ugly, but I'm very satisfied." She didn't see the legendary person, but she heard her voice. "Mammy Li, you can leave her here and you can go." "Yes, Saintess, I'm leaving." Mammy Li turned around and glanced at Yun Ruian. At the same time she let out an almost inaudible sigh and then walked away quickly. "What's your name?" When Mammy Li walked out of the big house, the saintess asked. "Saintess, my name is Yun Ruian," Yun Ruian said. "How dare you?" An unexpected shout rang out. If it had been an ordinary girl, she would have knelt on the ground in fright. Although Yun Ruian was also stunned by the sudden shout, it was far from frightening her. "May I ask why I'm so bold, Saintess?" Yun Ruian asked calmly. "You don't know why you're so bold?" The saintess seemed to be amused by Yun Ruian's question. "I don't know." Yun Ruian continued to say calmly. "Hello, I'll teach you." The saintess continued, "You just talked to me, but you called yourself me instead of me. Don't you think you're bold?" Yun Ruian suddenly understood and immediately said, "I've learned a lesson." The saintess suddenly smiled coldly and said, "You can't learn a lesson. You have to learn a lesson." When Yun Ruian heard this, she frowned. Mammy Li mentioned that she should be gentle several times. It seemed that the holy girl wanted to hurt her even before she met her. "Saintess, wait." Before Yun Ruian could finish her sentence, she suddenly heard the sound of a gust of wind. When she looked around, she saw that it wasn't the sound of wind, but a series of cold arrows shooting out from the 4 walls. Yun Ruian didn't expect that there would be such hidden weapons in the saintess' bedroom. The outside was clearly guarded, so why would there be hidden weapons in the bedroom? Were they guarding against someone, or did they purposely use these concealed weapons just to have fun? Yun Ruian didn't have time to find the answer. Her whole body flew into the air and then she twisted and turned in the air, avoiding the arrows. When the first wave of arrows was shot, Yun Ruian landed lightly on her feet and stood firmly in place. "Saintess, I've learned a lesson," Yun Ruian said while brushing the non-existent dust on her shoulder. "Humph, you're quite a powerful girl." The saintess sneered, Wait for me to teach you another lesson. Master, she wants to set fire. At this time Xiao, who had been silent, said, this girl is vicious, and the fire she uses is very strong. Master, you can fight fire with fire. Yun Ruoyan's current fire element cultivation method was taught by the devil dragon ancestor, so the spiritual fire attack she released was many times more powerful than before. Coupled with the improvement of her cultivation, it seemed that it was not a problem to deal with the saintess. But she couldn't really do it. She didn't come here to fight bravely but to please the saintess. Moreover, Mammy Li had warned her before that she couldn't use spiritual power here, otherwise the consequences would be very serious. Yun Ruoyan guessed that there might be some kind of prohibition set by the Great Elder of Silver Dragon. Once she used spiritual power, something bad would happen. Before she fully understood the situation, Yun Ruoyan really didn't dare to use spiritual power at will. Saintess, please spare my life. Yun Ruoyan changed her previous calm and fearless attitude. She curled up into a ball and squatted on the ground. The saintess first uttered a doubtful sound before bursting into laughter. I thought you were a brave girl, but I didn't expect you to be a coward. However, since this saintess has given it out, there is no reason for me to take it back. If you can take this second lesson, you can stay here. Master, be careful to the left. Xiao's voice sounded immediately. Yun Ruoyan didn't need to feel or see at all. She just rolled to the right according to Xiao's command. With a bang, a tongue of fire licked the place where Yun Ruoyan squatted at first. Yun Ruoyan could clearly see that the flame had come from a mechanism in the left corner of the wall. Previously, it had been the same mechanism that had shot out an arrow, but this time it was fire that had come out. Yun Ruoyan didn't need to think to know that in addition to these two things, there must be water, poisonous insects, and so on. Although they were all children's tricks, it was really difficult for ordinary people to avoid them. The previous maids must have been beaten away in this way. Xiao, I need your help. Yun Ruoyan said after dodging another tongue of fire. Yes, master. How do you want Xiao to help you? Yun Ruoyan quickly explained the situation to Xiao. Then when Xiao predicted which part of the mechanism was going to spit out flames, Yun Ruoyan didn't dodge. Instead, she pointed her hand at the spot where the flames were about to spit out. What's she trying to do? The saintess, who was hiding in the shadows, couldn't help but stare blankly at Yun Ruoyan's suicidal action. But then she was shocked by the scene in front of her. The tongue of flame was actually absorbed by Yun Ruoyan's palm, and the entire tongue of flame burrowed into her palm. The saintess couldn't help but be shocked by this scene, because she had never seen something like this before. It wasn't unusual to release spiritual fire, but to be able to absorb spiritual fire from the outside world into one's body? While the holy maiden was still in a state of shock, Yun Ruoyan had rushed to the location of a hidden weapon. Just as the hidden weapon was about to release a tongue of flame, Yun Ruoyan took advantage of this tiny opportunity to push her palm towards the hole. The spiritual fire that Xiao had swallowed earlier in the bracelet's pocket dimension was spat out in full force. Chapter 475. From the outside, it looked like Yun Ruoyan had released the spiritual fire with her hands. The force of the fire that Xiao had spewed was far greater than that of the mechanism itself. The powerful force of the spiritual fire entered the opening of the mechanism and collided with the spiritual fire that was spewed out by the mechanism itself. When the two forces of spiritual fire collided, they immediately produced an explosive force. There was a loud bang coming from the corner of the wall, and the entire palace shook along with it. After the trembling, when it finally calmed down, the holy maiden wanted to continue activating the mechanisms in the dark, but she found that all the mechanisms had failed. At this time, there was a series of footsteps outside as well as shouts to protect the holy maiden. Then the door was pushed open and a pair of guards entered. What happened just now? Where is the holy maiden? The guard leader pointed his sword at Yun Ruoyan and shouted. I don't know what happened just now. Yun Ruoyan immediately transformed into a little bunny. She had originally been squatting in a corner, but now she was curled up into a ball and shivering, as if she had suffered a great shock. The holy maiden, who was hiding in the dark, couldn't help but be angry when she saw Yun Ruoyan's appearance. What kind of demon was this girl? She was even better at acting than she was. But she liked it very much. It seemed that she wouldn't be so bored in this huge palace in the future. Yun Ruoyan didn't know that she had accidentally caught the holy maiden's eye and gained her favor. Although she didn't really like her, she had achieved her goal of staying by the Holy Maiden's side. What worried Yun Ruoyan the most was whether the First Elder would be alerted by such a huge commotion. She didn't want to have any close contact with the Silver Dragon at this time. Where's the Holy Maiden? I don't know, I really don't know. Bring her out, the guard leader ordered his subordinates. I'm here. Just then, the voice that wasn't cute at all sounded pleasant. What are you doing? How dare you capture this Holy Maiden's maidservant? Yun Ruoyan lifted her head from her knees and looked at the saintess. She had a head of long silver hair that wasn't inferior to Li Mo's, and it draped over her shoulders. She was about the same height as Yun Ruoyan, and she wore a long silver muslin dress. She stood very straight, giving off a feeling of sacredness and inviolability. Her back was tense, accentuating her slender neck. Yun Ruoyan was looking at the Holy Maiden from the side. Her gaze traveled all the way up to the Holy Maiden's face, but her line of sight was blocked by the white veil. Yun Ruoyan retracted her gaze. Although this Holy Maiden's appearance and temperament were rare and outstanding, her temper was too strange. Although she looked like a solemn goddess right now, the hidden weapon she had used on Yun Ruoyan just now was a crazy woman, a little demon. Yun Ruoyan felt that they couldn't become best friends. I wouldn't dare, I wouldn't dare. The guard immediately bowed to the Holy Maiden. Just now we were patrolling when we heard a strange noise, so we came to investigate. Please forgive us for offending you, Holy Maiden. This saintess was just doing some cultivation. Isn't it normal to make strange noises? The saintess said disapprovingly. It's fine now. You can all leave. Yes, your subordinates will take their leave. The moment the guard heard this, he immediately bowed and retreated. He felt extremely lucky. Wait. The Holy Maiden's voice suddenly rang out from behind the guards. Yun Ruoyan could clearly see the guards tremble imperceptibly. Holy Maiden, Your Highness, do you have any other instructions? The guard turned around and asked. Today's matter is just a small matter. I don't want this matter to reach the Great Elder's ears. He is very busy every day, so don't disturb him over such a small matter. The saintess was still standing there in a very dignified and solemn manner, and her tone was also very solemn. Yes, Your Highness. All right, you may leave. Only then did the guards feel as if they had received a special pardon, and they couldn't help but quicken their footsteps. Your name is Yun Ruoyan? The Holy Maiden turned around and looked at Yun Ruoyan, who was still curled up in the corner. Yun Ruoyan still had a pitiful look on her face. Stop pretending. The saintess saw how powerful you were just now. The Holy Maiden took a step toward Yun Ruoyan and casually squatted on the ground. Looking at Yun Ruoyan, her previous dignified demeanor was long gone with the wind. All right. Yun Ruoyan also casually leaned against the wall and rested her legs. Just now, she hadn't used any of her cultivation to fight against the mechanism, and it had really made her a little tired. I have so many maidservants, but you're the most unruly one, the Holy Maiden said. Yun Ruoyan glanced at the Holy Maiden who was squatting on the ground and said, although I haven't seen many holy maidservants, from the looks of it, you're probably the most unruly of them all. Yun Ruoyan had already grasped the Holy Maiden's unpredictable personality, so the words she spoke were also in accordance with her personality. Sure enough, when she heard Yun Ruoyan's words, she was stunned at first and then she laughed. Her laughter was like a silver bell, very pleasant to the ear. You're quite an interesting person. I didn't expect that there would be such a fun person like you in the Dragon Castle, the Holy Maiden said. Holy Maiden, Yun Ruoyan said. I'm not from the Dragon Castle. Granny Li brought me here from outside the Dragon Castle. My home is in the Silver Dragon City, not the Dragon Castle. Oh, I see. The Holy Maiden's eyes immediately lit up. No wonder. The people in the Dragon Castle are too boring, but the people in the Silver Dragon City are a little more interesting. Granny Li did a good job this time. You're ugly, but your temperament suits my taste. I'll keep you. Yun Ruoyan stayed in the Holy Maiden's palace. Once you met someone with an eccentric and unconventional personality, it was actually easy to get along with her. Although the Holy Maiden looked cold on the outside, she was actually like a child on the inside. Because she had been imprisoned for so long, she was filled with curiosity about the outside world, and would often chase after Yun Ruoyan to tell her about the outside world. Yun Ruoyan actually didn't know much about the Silver Dragon City, but she was experienced and knowledgeable enough to tell her stories about the Qinyuan continent and the Heiyuan continent. She would add a little more spice to the story, And the holy maiden was actually able to fool her. "You're not from the Silver Dragon City, are you?" The holy maiden suddenly asked after waking up from her stupor. "What's wrong? Why would you ask?" Yun Ruoyan asked. "Although I've been trapped in the dragon castle since I was young, I've sneaked out to play. I've been to many places in the Silver Dragon City, but many of the places you mentioned aren't from the city." "I'm actually a vagabond," Yun Ruoyan said. "I'm a street performer." "I know that. I've seen these people in the Silver Dragon City. Although their cultivations aren't high, they're very agile." The holy maiden suddenly understood. "No wonder you're so agile and you were able to dodge my traps so easily." "That's right." Yun Ruoyan was very satisfied with the holy maiden's imagination. She smiled proudly. "I'm really good at juggling. Oh right, I forgot to ask you. How did you manage to swallow fire with your palms? Was it a juggling act too?" "Of course." Yun Ruoyan immediately replied. "At first I thought that you were so powerful because you cultivated some kind of superior cultivation method. How could that be? If I were that amazing, why would I be a servant in the dragon castle?" Yun Ruoyan exclaimed. "I had a companion who could even swallow fire with his mouth and eyes." But the holy maiden's interest was immediately piqued. "There's actually someone who can swallow fire with their eyes?" "That's right. If there's a chance, I'll take you to see." Yun Ruoyan had successfully piqued the holy maiden's interest. Yun Ruoyan was waiting for the holy maiden to say, "Okay, we'll go right away. Recently, the first elder has been keeping a tight watch on my movements. Previously, I'd been able to find opportunities to go out and play, but now I can't. I haven't left this palace for more than half a year." Yun Ruoyan could tell that the holy maiden really wanted to go out and play, but she was being watched so closely that she couldn't. Yun Ruoyan didn't dare say that she would take her out. After all, she'd only just entered the dragon castle and she and the holy maiden were only on speaking terms. She was far from being able to fully trust her. As a result, if she were to rush things now, the holy maiden would be wary and distrust her. "Ah, that's a pity." Yun Ruoyan sighed. The holy maiden's daily routine was to have someone take care of her, and Yun Ruoyan's job was to accompany the holy maiden. Unknowingly, Yun Ruoyan had been in the dragon castle for 3 days. On the second day, Li Mo contacted her. Li Mo was now a member of the patrol team. Sometimes Yun Ruoyan would urge the holy maiden to go for a walk. At that time she would see Li Mo, dressed in a guard's uniform, walking with a solemn expression. Every time she saw such a scene, Yun Ruoyan found it funny. Yun Ruoyan was afraid that she would never see such a Li Mo again in her lifetime. Li Mo would always walk past Yun Ruoyan, because he didn't need to look to know that Yun Ruoyan was smiling mischievously. "Xiao Yun." The holy maiden who was walking in front, suddenly called out to Yun Ruoyan. "Hey holy maiden, I'm here." Yun Ruoyan quickly caught up with the holy maiden. "Xiao Yun, have you taken a fancy to the guards here?" The holy maiden asked Yun Ruoyan. "What?" Yun Ruoyan was stunned. Had she been too obvious? She'd only smiled at Li Mo and he'd already noticed her? No. Yun Ruoyan hurriedly waved her hands. "I just thought they were handsome, so I took a few more glances. I'm so ugly, how could I be worthy of the guards here?" "Nonsense," the holy maiden said. "Although you're not beautiful, you're the holy maiden's maidservant. You're worthy of all the guards here." Yun Ruoyan was extremely touched when she heard this. If this continued, she might not have the heart to kidnap the holy maiden. "Holy maiden." Suddenly, an unfamiliar male voice came from the front. "Holy maiden, you're really in a good mood today. You actually came out for a stroll in the garden." Before Yun Ruoyan could see the person's face clearly, she heard the holy maiden snort. Chapter 476. The newcomer was a young man with silver hair, but the purity of his hair was clearly inferior to the holy maiden's. However, of all the people Yun Ruoyan had seen so far, only Li Mo's hair was as pure as the holy maiden's. In order not to attract attention, Yun Ruoyan had also dyed Li Mo's hair silver gray before entering the castle. "Holy maiden, how about we have a stroll together?" The man walked quickly toward the holy maiden and Yun Ruoyan. The holy maiden stood motionless, and Yun Ruoyan stood behind her, watching as the man walked toward them like a spring breeze. "Xianxia, why are you here?" the holy maiden asked coldly. "Didn't I explain things to the first elder last time clearly enough?" Xianxia directly ignored the holy maiden's anger and said, Father has already punished me the last time. He punished me by confining me at home for a whole month, so that's the end of the matter. Holy maiden, don't be so vengeful. After all, we're family. Yun Ruoyan could feel Yin Zhao's gaze subconsciously on her as he spoke. At first she had lowered her head, but his gaze was so unbearable that it was obvious he was up to no good, so she raised her head and looked back. Her small eyes, flat nose and thick lips gave Yin Zhao quite a fright. He couldn't help but cry out in pain and cover his eyes with his hands, as if something had stung his eyes. The holy maiden turned to look at Yun Ruoyan, then at Yin Zhao's reaction. She couldn't help but smile. What's wrong? Are you all right? Holy maiden, where did you find a maidservant who looks like this? Yin Zhao continued to cover his eyes as he pointed at Yun Ruoyan. What's wrong with my maidservant? The leftover woman disapprovingly said, This is my favorite among all the maidservants. This saintess will use this maidservant in the future. If there's nothing else, I'll be leaving first and you'd better not come here too often. After the holy maiden finished speaking, she left without looking back. Yun Ruoyan followed behind the holy maiden. After a few steps, she felt someone staring at her from behind. She turned around abruptly and happened to meet Yin Zhao's gaze. Yin Zhao cried out in pain and covered his eyes with his hands. Yun Ruoyan followed the saintess thoughtfully. When Yin Zhao heard the footsteps disappear, he removed his hand from his eyes and said to himself, Her figure is so beautiful, how did she grow up to be like that? It's really an eyesore. This saintess definitely did it on purpose. Damn, I will probably have nightmares tonight. Do you think you can scare me like this? I'll definitely let you know how powerful I am. After Yin Zhao finished speaking, he flicked his sleeves and left. Just as Yun Ruoyan followed the holy maiden far away, a coquettish laugh came from the holy maiden's mouth. It's really interesting. Did you see how Yin Hao reacted just now? It's really interesting. Is that Long Xiao the first elder's son? As far as she knew, the first elder was of the same generation as the demonic dragon patriarch, which meant that the silver dragon patriarch was at least 10,000 years old. How could he have such a young child? He is now the great elder's only child. The holy maiden said, a very annoying fellow. It turned out that the first elder had many children before, but they all passed away one after another. This Long Yin was the first elder's youngest child, and he was now more than 200 years old. He could be said to be the first elder's treasure, and he could do whatever he wanted in the dragon castle. Yun Ruoyan asked the holy maiden about this matter. According to the holy maiden, although Yin Zhao was the first elder's adopted son, he was so favored that even she, the holy maiden, couldn't do anything about it. Another thing that the holy maiden wanted Yun Ruoyan to be very careful of was that Yin Zhao was a man who dared to do anything about his lust. As long as the maidservants by my side were slightly good-looking, it would be difficult for them to escape his clutches, whether by force or sweet-talking them, the holy maiden said. Yun Ruoyan suddenly understood. Is that why you had seen your servantly find ugly girls to be your maidservants? Yes. Not only must they be ugly but they must also be agile. The holy maiden nodded. Although I look impressive in the dragon castle, I actually don't have any real power. And you should also be able to tell that my cultivation isn't very high. If you really encounter any danger, I may not be able to protect you. You must be able to protect yourself. Otherwise, it's better for you to leave as soon as possible. How could this be? Aren't you the holy maiden of the Silver Dragon clan? Why can't you even protect a maidservant? Yun Ruoyan was a little surprised. She had learned from Empress Xuetong that the holy maiden was very important to the Silver Dragon clan, but she had never asked how much power they had. It's the truth. I've known since I was a child that I'm just a symbol. Other than staying in the dragon castle, I have no other use, the holy maiden said helplessly. A year ago, one of my maidservants who had been with me for many years caught the eye of Yin Zhao. As a result, he sent someone to take her away and force her. The maidservant complained to me, and in a fit of anger, I reported the matter to the first elder. In the end, Long Xiao said that my maidservant had seduced him, and then, at this point, the saintess was so angry that she couldn't continue speaking. And then what? Yun Ruoyan pressed. Did the first elder believe you or Long Xiao? Of course he believed me, but he ignored my objections and severely punished my maidservant. He only allowed Long Xiao to be confined at home for a few days, the holy maiden said angrily. My maidservant couldn't bear the humiliation and then committed suicide. Yun Ruoyan was also furious. That Long Xiao really is audacious. He even dared to touch the maidservant by the holy maiden's side. And what's worse is that the first elder is so protective of him. Fortunately, I still have the title of Holy Maiden, so this demon wouldn't dare do anything to me. The Holy Maiden sighed. But for this title, I have to give up my freedom and happiness. There's one thing I don't understand, Yun Ruoyan said. If the Holy Maiden has such a high status, why doesn't she have any real power at all? In fact, the Holy Maiden used to have a lot of power. Our power was only lower than that of the first elder. But then something happened that almost completely deprived the Holy Maiden of her power. Yun Ruoyan learned from the Holy Maiden that more than 100 years ago, the previous Holy Maiden left the extreme Abyss continent without permission and went to a lower continent, never to return. At that time, the entire Silver Dragon clan was furious because of this incident. From then on, the Holy Maiden only had a title but no real power. Yun Ruoyan knew that the Holy Maiden who left 100 years ago must be Empress Xuetong. What surprised Yun Ruoyan was the Holy Maiden's next words. She said enviously, "The previous Holy Maiden was really brave and courageous. If only I could be like her and escape the shackles in front of me." Yun Ruoyan's heart skipped a beat. If you were given a chance, would you really be willing to give up your current position? Why wouldn't I be? The Holy Maiden smiled bitterly. I've been confined here for half of my life. If there's a chance to completely escape, I'd be willing to die. The Holy Maiden said that although their status seemed high, it was only because of the Holy Maiden's name, not because of her person. Now all the power of the Silver Dragon clan was in the hands of the first elder, and the Holy Maiden was nothing more than a puppet in his hands. If he wanted to cripple her, a new Holy Maiden would soon appear. According to the Holy Maiden, even if Yun Ruoyan and the others kidnapped her, she wouldn't be able to threaten the first elder. However, a new target had appeared, and this Holy Maiden had the potential to become his partner. Yun Ruoyan believed that with the Holy Maiden's help, it wouldn't be difficult to lure Silver Howl out of the dragon castle. Yun Ruoyan had a plan in mind, but she wasn't in a hurry to carry it out. She decided to discuss it with Li Mo first before making a final decision. Over the past few days, Li Mo hadn't been idle either. Yun Ruoyan was in charge of following the Holy Maiden of the Silver Dragon clan, while Li Mo was in charge of searching for the dragon's roar and finding a way to get close to the holy shrine. Just as the demon spirit had said, the guards around the palace were not only strict, but each one was a master. Li Mo wasn't confident that he could sneak into the palace under their noses. Even if he managed to sneak in, even the demon spirit wouldn't be able to escape, so naturally, Li Mo wouldn't be able to either. He couldn't take this risk. Obtaining the holy water and Empress Xuetong's body had reached an impasse, but Li Mo had some clues as to the whereabouts of Yun Ruoyan's father, Long Yin. Once he had accidentally overheard a conversation between the higher-ups of the guards. They said that there was a secret prison in the dragon castle, where some alien criminals were imprisoned. Although Li Mo hadn't heard the specific names of the criminals, his intuition told him that Yun Ruoyan's father, his father-in-law, was imprisoned there. Deep into the night, the Holy Maiden had already fallen asleep, and it was time for Li Mo's patrol team to change shifts. According to their prior agreement, Li Mo snuck into Yun Ruoyan's room. As the Holy Maiden's personal maidservant, Yun Ruoyan had her own private room. The two of them missed each other very much, especially when Li Mo had been able to see Yun Ruoyan these past few days, but he couldn't touch her. Yun Ruoyan was always smiling at him, which made him very angry. So when Li Mo jumped in through the window, Yun Ruoyan had just stood up from the bed, and before she could even call out his name, she was pulled into his arms like a gust of wind. Li Mo only kissed Yun Ruoyan fiercely, not daring to touch her because there was now a baby in her belly. Li Mo gently placed his hand on Yun Ruoyan's belly. "Is the little fellow still behaving?" Yun Ruoyan smiled. "It's only been a little more than a month and I haven't felt anything yet." Li Mo also laughed because of his own anxiousness. Ever since he became a father, Li Mo had fallen in love with the feeling of being a father, especially the feeling of holding the newborn in his arms, which gave him a special sense of accomplishment. "By the way, I have something very important to tell you," Yun Ruoyan said as she sat up from Li Mo's arms. "I also have something very important to tell you," Li Mo said. "You go first." Chapter 477. Liamo, I've discovered that the Holy Maiden can't be used to threaten the First Elder, Yun Ruoyan began. What do you mean? Liamo frowned. Yun Ruoyan told Liamo everything that had transpired. If we want to threaten the First Elder, we can make use of Silver Howl, Yun Ruoyan began. Next I'll try to rope in the Holy Maiden. With her help, capturing Silver Howl shouldn't be a difficult task. All right. Liamo thought for a moment. I'll inform the demon spirit and have them make preparations. Yun Ruoyan turned to Liamo once she was done. What have you discovered these past few days? Liamo looked at Yun Ruoyan. I've discovered traces of your father Long Yin. Yun Ruoyan's eyes immediately lit up, and she tightened her grip on Liamo's hand. Where's my father now? Yun Ruoyan's voice trembled. In a secret prison within the Dragon Castle. Liamo patted Yun Ruoyan's hand. I haven't found out the exact location of the prison yet, but I'll continue investigating. Liamo, be careful, Yun Ruoyan warned. Anything related to secrets was bound to be dangerous. Although Yun Ruoyan was eager to see her father, she didn't want Liamo to be in danger. I'll be careful. Liamo looked at Yun Ruoyan's flat abdomen. You, on the other hand, aren't you alone? Don't do anything dangerous and remember that I'm here for you, understand? I understand. Yun Ruoyan nodded. Although they had been husband and wife for many years, the warmth and care they had for each other had never changed. That day Yun Ruoyan accompanied the Holy Maiden in the Great Hall to relieve her boredom. During this time she had taught the Holy Maiden how to play chess and dice, and the two of them would play these games to pass the time. The Holy Maiden seemed to be in a bad mood, as if she were worried about something. When Yun Ruoyan asked her about it, she said that she was fine. However, Yun Ruoyan could clearly hear the Holy Maiden muttering to herself that it was time again, and then she let out a long sigh. Checkmate. Yun Ruoyan said with a smile, Holy Maiden, you've lost. You're not allowed to go back on your word on 100 top-grade spiritual stones. Sigh. I lost again. I don't want to play anymore, the Saintess said with a lack of interest. At this moment, without any warning, the Great Elder suddenly appeared. When the palace maids outside announced the arrival of the First Elder, both Yun Ruoyan and the Holy Maiden's expressions changed at the same time. Yun Ruoyan calmed down even faster than the Holy Maiden. She tugged at the Holy Maiden and whispered, Let's hurry up and receive him. Yun Ruoyan looked at the Holy Maiden's panicked expression and was quite surprised. Based on her interactions with the Holy Maiden during this period of time, Yun Ruoyan felt that the Holy Maiden wasn't a cowardly person. Why would she be so frightened when the First Elder came? Greetings, Great Elder. The Holy Maiden bowed to the Great Elder. Yun Ruoyan followed behind her and bowed with her head lowered. Her voice was very soft, and she had completely concealed her cultivation aura, making her presence as low as possible. Rise. The Great Elder's gaze swept over Yun Ruoyan's body. I heard from Yin Xiao that you've changed maids again? The Holy Maiden clearly hadn't expected the Great Elder to suddenly ask about such a small matter. She paused for a moment before replying, Yes, yes. Yun, come and greet the Great Elder. The Holy Maiden instructed Yun Ruoyan. Yun Ruoyan could only step forward and greet the Great Elder once more. Raise your head. The Great Elder's voice rang out above Yun Ruoyan's head. Yun Ruoyan held her breath and slowly raised her head to look at the Great Elder. This was the first time Yun Ruoyan had seen him so closely. In the past she had only seen him from afar through the mirror. He was tall and thin and he looked like a middle-aged man. His long silver hair fell to his shoulders, and his expression was as rigid as if it had been carved by a knife. The two creases on his face made him look even more stern. His entire being exuded a cold, murderous aura. When the Great Elder saw Yun Ruoyan looking at him quietly, his silver eyebrows twitched. This maidservant is indeed different from the others. Other than his own son, Yun Ruoyan was the only maidservant in the entire Dragon Castle who could look at him like this. As soon as Yun Ruoyan heard this, she seemed to be startled awake. Her legs gave way and she knelt in front of the Great Elder, trembling as she prostrated herself on the ground. Great Elder, this maidservant of mine is not that smart and nimble. Just now, it must have been because she saw you for the first time and was intimidated by your might. Now that she has reacted, she is frightened to death, the Saintess hurriedly said. The Great Elder finally shifted his gaze away from Yun Ruoyan, no longer paying her any attention. Holy Maiden, I haven't interfered too much with what you do on a daily basis, but don't forget the day of the ceremony, the great elder reminded her. I wouldn't dare. The day of the ceremony is the day after tomorrow. I won't forget it, the great elder replied respectfully. The holy maiden replied respectfully, but for some reason Yun Ruoyan could clearly hear a hint of resistance in her tone. That's good. The great elder turned to leave, his voice ringing out once more. Don't forget that this is the meaning of your existence. When the great elder's silhouette disappeared through the palace gates, the holy maiden's legs gave way and she almost fell to the ground. Yun Ruoyan, who had already stood up, reached out to support her. Holy maiden, are you all right? Yun Ruoyan helped the holy maiden sit down on a chair. Is the ceremony such a scary thing? Why are you so afraid? Yun Ruoyan didn't dare to pay too much attention to the great elder, lest he discover her presence. Instead, she focused all of her attention on the holy maiden. She had clearly become nervous after the great elder had brought up the matter of the ceremony. The holy maiden grabbed Yun Ruoyan's hand and whispered in a trembling voice, "The ceremony is a very frightening thing. It's my greatest nightmare as a holy maiden." What nightmare? What's going on? Yun Ruoyan pressed. The holy maiden shook her head and didn't speak. After a while she suddenly turned to Yun Ruoyan and said, "The ceremony is the day after tomorrow. Can you accompany me?" "Yes, I'm your personal maidservant. As long as you allow me to accompany you, I'm naturally willing to do so," Yun Ruoyan replied without hesitation. Yun Ruoyan said without hesitation. She realized that this wasn't a simple ritual and there had to be a demon behind it. She wanted to see what kind of demon could scare the holy maiden so badly. "Xiao Yun." The holy maiden looked at Yun Ruoyan gratefully. "I don't want to lie to you. The ceremony really is a frightening thing. In the past I had 3 very bold maidservants participate in the ceremony with me, but they were all frightened. If you're afraid you can go back on your word." The holy maiden's words piqued Yun Ruoyan's curiosity even more, but she suddenly thought of the child in her womb and hesitated. "Holy maiden, my cultivation is too low. If you encounter any danger I won't be able to protect you. Won't I be a burden if you bring me along?" "That won't be the case. We'll be under very strict protection and we won't be harmed by the outside world." With the holy maiden's affirmation, Yun Ruoyan relaxed. "Since there won't be any danger, I'll accompany you. There's nothing to be afraid of." Although Yun Ruoyan was almost the mother of 2 children, she was only in her early 20s. The holy maiden, on the other hand, was at least 100 years old. However, at this moment she was like a weak little sister, relying on Yun Ruoyan's protection. Yun Ruoyan told Li Mo about the ceremony, and when he heard about it he said that he was thinking of a way to become a guard for the ceremony. In this way Yun Ruoyan no longer had any worries. Soon the day of the ceremony arrived. On this day the holy maiden and Yun Ruoyan both put on holy silver-white robes, and were led to the sacred shrine by a few maidservants dressed in the same silver robes. The ceremony wasn't very grand, and Yun Ruoyan felt like a small memorial service. She accompanied the holy maiden and completed the entire ceremony. When the people present began to leave, Yun Ruoyan began to feel a little confused. "Holy maiden, is this the end of the ceremony? There's nothing to be afraid of, is there?" Yun Ruoyan asked softly. "It's just the beginning," the holy maiden replied in a small, trembling voice. Yun Ruoyan couldn't help but glance at the holy maiden. When she saw that her face was abnormally pale, she knew that the frightening thing she had mentioned was about to happen. Everyone left the shrine, but the holy maiden and Yun Ruoyan were asked to stay behind. As it turned out, the Silver Dragon clan had another rule. After the ceremony, the holy maiden had to pray for the ancestors in the shrine for an entire night, and Yun Ruoyan, as the holy maiden's personal maidservant, was allowed to accompany her. Yun Ruoyan saw Li Mo at the ceremony, but he had no choice but to leave with the crowd. Soon only the holy maiden and Yun Ruoyan were left in the vast shrine. Night quickly fell and the holy maiden grew increasingly nervous. However, no matter how Yun Ruoyan asked her what would happen next, or why she was so afraid, the holy maiden refused to say. It wasn't that she didn't want to tell Yun Ruoyan, but that she simply didn't want to describe it to Yun Ruoyan. "Yun, don't ask anymore. You'll know in a moment," the holy maiden said. When night completely enveloped the shrine, all the lamps in the shrine lit up one by one, illuminating the entire space as if it were daytime. Although there were many ancestral tablets placed in front of the shrine, as well as some lifelike silver dragon sculptures, Yun Ruoyan wasn't afraid of them. Time's up. Yun Ruoyan heard the holy maiden stand up from her mat, and Yun Ruoyan stood up with her. At this moment, there was no longer any trace of fear on the holy maiden's face. It was unknown if she was faking it or if there was some other reason. In short, her face was cold and numb. There was no trace of nervousness or fear from before. It was as if she had suddenly become a different person. Chapter 478. Holy Maiden, what's the matter? Yun Ruoyan asked. Time's up. The holy maiden turned to look at Yun Ruoyan. Yun Ruoyan found that even her eyes had turned cold and numb. Then a series of footsteps sounded, getting closer and closer. The first elder walked out from behind the curtains. He was alone. Yun Ruoyan stood behind the holy maiden, standing as straight as she was. The first elder didn't notice Yun Ruoyan. The only reason he'd agreed to have the maidservant accompany the holy maiden was because of the holy maiden's insistence. Later, because of the precedent, he'd had someone accompany her to complete the important tasks that were to come. If anything happened to Yun Ruoyan, he'd just have to get rid of her like before. This wouldn't be much trouble for the first elder. Holy maiden, are you ready? The elder's cold voice rang out. I'm ready. The holy maiden's voice was cold and numb, not at all like the person Yun Ruoyan knew. The first elder nodded, then walked toward the altar filled with countless memorial tablets. He reached out to touch a silver dragon-shaped sculpture by the side of the altar, and Yun Ruoyan could clearly see his hands digging into the dragon's eyes. Then the entire altar trembled and a crack appeared in the middle of the altar. The crack grew larger and larger until it formed a door. Come in, the first elder said to the holy maiden. The first elder instructed the silver dragon holy maiden. The holy maiden walked into the fissure without looking around, and Yun Ruoyan followed closely behind. As soon as she entered, Yun Ruoyan felt a familiar aura, but she couldn't quite put her finger on it. The entrance was connected to a passageway that glowed red. Their silver robes were stained by the red light as if they were stained with blood. It was an indescribably strange sight. As they went deeper, that familiar feeling became clearer and clearer. Yun Ruoyan couldn't help but feel excited, because that familiar feeling came from the resonance of the demonic dragon's bloodline. There seemed to be only one explanation for the presence of the demonic dragon's bloodline in the Silver Dragon Temple. Yun Ruoyan's father, the inheritor of the demonic dragon's bloodline Long Yin, was imprisoned here. A dragon's roar suddenly came from the depths of the tunnel, causing the entire tunnel to tremble. Yun Ruoyan saw the holy maiden in front of her suddenly tremble. At first, Yun Ruoyan didn't know why the holy maiden had suddenly become numb and cold, but now she had a guess. The holy maiden hadn't really become numb and cold, but rather she was faking her current state. She used this to suppress the fear in her heart and to confuse the great elder. The first elder was walking in front of them and couldn't see what was happening. Yun Ruoyan reached out and patted the holy maiden's back, trying to comfort her. The holy maiden paused for a moment, then looked at Yun Ruoyan expressionlessly before continuing forward. After walking for less than 10 steps, the red light shone brightly, and the few of them arrived at a rather large space that seemed to be carved out of stone. In the center of this huge space was a similarly large stone pillar. Many people were tied up densely on the stone pillars. They were all skinny from the waist up. Some of them even looked like skeletons. Demonic dragon bloodline. Yun Ruoyan's heart pounded as she looked at the scene in front of her. Everyone here has the demonic dragon bloodline. Because they shared the same bloodline, Yun Ruoyan could sense that all of these people had the same demonic dragon bloodline as she did. Holy maiden, let's begin. The silver dragon elder turned to the holy maiden. The holy maiden slowly relaxed her clenched fists. She then walked up to the great elder's side. In front of her was the large stone pillar, as well as the hundreds of people tied up on it. Yun Ruoyan saw the holy maiden open her arms and make a strange gesture. Then her hands joined together to form a complicated seal, which she then pointed at the stone pillar. The entire stone pillar was instantly lit up, and the originally lifeless stone vaguely revealed countless crisscrossing vein-like substances, each of which was connected to a person's body. The holy maiden began to chant an incantation that Yun Ruoyan couldn't understand. All of the veins seemed to come alive, and they began to furiously absorb the blood of the people tied up on the stone pillars. As the fresh blood was sucked into the veins, the people on the stone pillars let out angry, fearful and unwilling screams. Some of the screams sounded like throat-tearing wails, while others sounded like the deep, sorrowful roars of a dragon. Following the incessant sounds, the people on the stone pillars began to twitch. The hundreds of people tied to the stone pillars were twitching and howling at the same time. Due to the twitching, their bodies collided with the stone pillars. It was as if they were undergoing the cruelest torture in hell. Yun Ruoyan's eyes widened as she looked at the scene in front of her. At the same time, she tried her best to control the raging demonic dragon bloodline in her body. If she lost control even the slightest bit, she would rush out and stop this from happening. However, Yun Ruoyan's rationality told her that if she lost control and did so, not only would she not be able to save anyone here, she would also be unable to protect herself and the child in her womb. Yun Ruoyan clawed at her palms until they were dripping with blood. Only then did she restrain her impulse. Some of the people tied up on the stone pillars suddenly turned to dust and dissipated. Yun Ruoyan heard the first elder mutter to himself, "These blood cows are getting weaker and weaker and they'll soon run out of blood. We'll have to hurry and find the demonic dragon bloodline." As soon as he finished speaking, another dozen or so people were sucked dry and turned to dust. Yun Ruoyan began to search for Long Yin's figure on the stone pillars. Although she had never seen him in person, she had seen him more than once in her dreams. Yun Ruoyan believed that as long as she saw her father, she would definitely be able to recognize him. However, there were simply too many people on the stone pillar, and she couldn't quickly tell which of them was her father. She couldn't help but worry that Long Yin might have been one of the people who had been drained of their blood. "That's enough." The great elder finally ordered the saintess to stop her chanting. The saintess finally stopped chanting and her body went limp as she sat on the ground. Her whole body was trembling, and it was unknown whether it was because she was frightened, or because activating the stone pillar's meridians consumed too much energy. The people on the stone pillars had stopped convulsing, but all of them were even more shriveled than before. Those who hadn't died were only hanging on to their last breaths, as if they would turn to dust at any moment. However, that was a form of relief, and it was much better than going through the pain of having their blood drawn again. "Long Yin, are you still alive?" The first elder suddenly shouted at the stone pillar. "If you're still alive, answer me. If you're dead, I'll have to find your child to take your place, ha ha ha." "Silver Dragon, of course I'm still alive." A man's weak, low voice came from the stone pillar. As soon as Yun Ruoyan heard this voice, her entire body trembled. She hurriedly looked in the direction of the voice. The entire stone pillar had turned into a faint red, translucent blood jade. In the center of the blood jade was a figure, and the voice had come from that figure. In other words, it was Long Yin. Yun Ruoyan stared at the figure with wide eyes. She opened her mouth slightly, but no sound came out. The silver dragon continued, "You're still alive, very good. It's all thanks to you that my blood array has been able to survive for so many years. I hope that you'll continue to live well, and perhaps you'll be able to meet your daughter and grandson." "What did you say? My grandson?" Long Yin asked agitatedly. "Yes, your grandson," the silver dragon replied. The silver dragon replied, "Not only did your daughter marry and give birth to a child, she even married someone with the bloodline of my silver dragon. The child she gave birth to has both the powerful bloodlines of the demonic dragon and the silver dragon. It's very likely that the art of immortality that I've been searching for is hidden in that little child. I'll definitely obtain him at all costs. When that time comes, you two will be reunited, ha. Silver Dragon, if you have any problems, come at me. Don't hurt the child." Long Yin shouted angrily. "You're far too worthless," the silver dragon replied disdainfully. The silver dragon said disdainfully, "Based on the current situation, you'll turn into a dried corpse and turn into ashes like them in less than 2 years. Silver Dragon, you'll suffer retribution, you'll suffer retribution. Retribution, retribution only falls on the incompetent just like you." The silver dragon pointed mockingly at the man on the stone pillar. "And you, all of you are suffering retribution for your incompetence. Enjoy yourselves. Ha." Yun Ruoyan supported the holy maiden and followed behind the first elder. The moment they entered the tunnel, Yun Ruoyan looked back at the stone pillar, which had already dimmed, and thought, "Father, wait for me. I'll be back to save you soon." Walking out of the altar, Yun Ruoyan and the holy maiden both felt weak all over, and it was difficult for them to even stand. The first elder looked at the holy maiden coolly, then at Yunruan. You're not bad. Follow the holy maiden well and in the future, accompany her to all the rituals. Thank you, first elder, Yunruan said with difficulty. The first elder nodded and left. Yunruan and the holy maiden didn't leave the shrine until the sun rose, and they returned to the palace where they lived. Holy maiden, what was that place and who were the people whose blood was extracted? Yunruan asked carefully as she wiped the holy maiden's hands and face with a warm towel. The holy maiden's eyes had been closed at first, but when Yunruan asked, she opened them immediately. That's a secret of the silver dragons. If I tell you, you'll become a part of it and you'll never be able to escape. I'm not afraid, Yunruan replied. When I went to that place today and saw those things, I couldn't get away. I'm sorry. The holy maiden looked at Yunruan apologetically. I was too scared by myself, so I brought you along to give me courage, but I ended up dragging you down with me. Holy maiden, you don't need to apologize, Yunruan replied. I just want to know what happened today. In any case, I'm in the same boat as you, so you should at least let me die in peace, right? All right. The saintess sighed and said, I'll tell you everything I know. Chapter 479. The Holy Maiden told Yunruan that after she became the Holy Maiden, she would be required to enter the secret prison where many of those with the demonic dragon's bloodline were imprisoned. What she had to do was activate the blood array on the stone pillars and absorb the blood of those people. Yunruan asked why the first elder didn't activate the formation himself, but rather wanted her to. In Yunruan's opinion, the Holy Maiden wasn't working with the first elder of her own volition. She had been forced into it, and Yunruan had no choice but to believe that she hated this so-called blood formation. Because activating the blood formation requires one to bear the wrath, hatred, grief, and indescribable dark emotions of those trapped within it. This can drive one mad or even insane, and no one is willing to bear it themselves, the Holy Maiden explained. Even my maids couldn't stand the corrosion of the resentment just by following behind me. I didn't expect you to be so unaffected. Of course, Yunruan could feel the resentment as well, but perhaps because she also possessed the demonic dragon bloodline, the resentment didn't cause her any actual harm. Then do you know what the first elder wants the blood for? Yunruan changed the subject. To refine holy water, the Holy Maiden replied. Yunruan had already guessed this from what she knew. Human blood to refine holy water. Yunruan clenched her fists. The holy water that the silver dragon elders used to prolong their lives contained her father's blood. The last person I heard was the first elder talking to someone. Do you know who that person was? What use does he have? The Holy Maiden had been in a state of mental exhaustion ever since she had been released from the secret prison, and she didn't doubt Yunruan at all. She answered every question as if she were venting her frustrations. Every time she answered a question, her expression would soften a little. I learned that person's name and identity from the first elder's conversation with him, the Holy Maiden began. His name is Longyin and he comes from a low-level continent called the Qinyuan continent. He possesses a relatively pure demonic dragon bloodline, so the first elder used him as the eye of the blood formation. The Holy Maiden also told Yunruan that the dragon's roar could actually end his pain. As long as he committed suicide, not only would he be able to relieve his pain, but he would also be able to paralyze the entire blood formation. However, the first elder had threatened him that if he committed suicide, the first elder would capture the child he had left behind on the Qinyuan continent and have him take his place, suffering the pain he was currently experiencing. In order to protect his child, Longyin had no choice but to endure until now. She was touched, angry, and heartbroken for her father, all at the same time. The great elder is a devil. Yunruan couldn't help but ask. She then looked at the saintess. Are you going to continue being his accomplice? The saintess opened her eyes and said helplessly, I don't want to. That feeling of being corroded by resentment is a nightmare that I've always wanted to get rid of, but I can't because I'm the saintess. Are you unwilling to give up your position as a holy maiden? Yunruan asked coldly. The saintess shook her head. I just can't get rid of it unless I anger the great elder and have her abolish my title of saintess. But if that happens, I'm afraid my situation will be worse than it is now. What if I can help you? Are you willing to take the risk to get rid of your current predicament? Yun Ruoyan asked. The saintess frowned at Yun Ruoyan, and her eyes met Yun Ruoyan's sparkling gaze. She had always thought that Yun Ruoyan was an average-looking, even slightly ugly, nimble and kind-hearted silver dragon girl. However, someone who could say those words and have eyes as bright as the stars couldn't be ordinary. Who are you? Tell me. The saintess demanded. Ruoyan felt that now was the time to rope the saintess in, but at the same time she was prepared to launch a sneak attack. If she revealed her true identity and was betrayed by the saintess, she wouldn't hesitate to subdue or kill her to protect herself. Everything would depend on the saintess' choice. My name is Yun Ruoyan and I come from the Qinyuan continent. The person in the eye of the blood formation is my father, Yun Ruoyan said slowly. I'm here to save my father. The saintess stared blankly for a moment, clearly needing time to digest Yun Ruoyan's words. To tell you the truth, Yun Ruoyan continued, at first I wanted to use you to blackmail the first elder and achieve my goals. But later I discovered that you're also a victim, and that's why I'm telling you my story. If you're willing, I and my companions can help you get out of your current predicament and give you the freedom you want. You have companions? The saintess exclaimed. I've never heard of anyone from a low-tier continent being able to break into the dragon castle. Of course I can't do it alone, so I have companions. You have to believe that since I've made a promise to you, I have the ability to do it. If I don't agree, will you kill me? The saintess asked. I won't. Yun Ruoyan smiled. As long as you don't do anything too extreme to hurt me, I won't hurt you. I have a way to make you forget our conversation before I leave. Yun Ruoyan believed that with her current cultivation, it would be easy for her to use a bewitching powder on the saintess. Let me think about it, the saintess finally said. That night, Yun Ruoyan told Li Mo about what she had seen in the dungeon, as well as how she had tried to rope the saintess to her side. Do you think the saintess will agree to cooperate with us? Li Mo asked. It's very likely, Yun Ruoyan replied. Her disgust for her current predicament isn't an act. If she agrees to cooperate with us, many things will be much easier to accomplish. The next day the saintess gave Yun Ruoyan her own opinion and agreed to cooperate with her. What should we do next? The saintess asked. Perhaps because she had seen a new lease on life, the saintess seemed a little excited and impatient. Can you think of a way to lure Silverhowl outside? We can use it to threaten the first elder. Luring him out isn't difficult, but I can't leave right now. The first elder has tightened his restrictions on me, the saintess replied awkwardly. Yun Ruoyan thought for a moment. We can create a disturbance in the dragon castle to distract the first elder. What do you want to do? I want to enter the sacred palace to take a look, Yun Ruoyan replied. At night, when the palace was most heavily guarded, it would be difficult for Li Mo and Yun Ruoyan to enter without exposing themselves. However, there was an opportunity during the day. The saintess told Yun Ruoyan that every time after the sacrificial ceremony, there would be a major cleanup, and tomorrow would be the day of the cleanup. Every day in the morning the guards would change shifts. Li Mo blended in with the guards, and with the saintess's help, Yun Ruoyan easily became a member of the cleanup crew. At noon the next day Yun Ruoyan followed behind a group of 7 or 8 palace maids. After exchanging a glance with Li Mo, she walked into the sacred palace. There are many restrictions here. You can't just barge in, understand? A slightly older palace maid ordered the crowd. You go over there. You guys go over there. The palace maid pointed at Yun Ruoyan. Go over there. This palace maid was senior servant Li's subordinate, and she was one of the saintess' few confidants in the dragon castle. Because they had informed her beforehand, Yun Ruoyan was sent to a relatively secluded location by herself. Without anyone watching, Yun Ruoyan searched the sacred palace by herself. Following the map that the saintess had drawn for her, she finally found the secret chamber that the demon spirit had mentioned to contain the holy water. Qiu, are you ready? Yun Ruoyan looked around to make sure that no one was around, then called out to Qiu in her bracelet. I'm ready. Leave it to me, no problem, Qiu replied. Then a beam of red light shot out from Yun Ruoyan's bracelet, and Qiu stood in front of Yun Ruoyan in its battle form. Yun Ruoyan took a step forward and pushed the stone door of the secret chamber open. A white array appeared and a strong force pushed Yun Ruoyan back. Qiu immediately blocked Yun Ruoyan's back, dispersing the force of the array. Only then did Yun Ruoyan regain her footing. What a powerful array, Yun Ruoyan murmured. Qiu, I'll leave it to you. Mistress, retreat. Qiu landed on its hind legs and rushed towards the magic circle. Its sharp claws pierced directly into the middle of the magic circle, and its strong body hit the magic circle. The entire restrictive magic formation trembled because of Chirp's simple attack. Along with the trembling of the restrictive magic formation, the entire holy hall also trembled. Someone's destroying the array. Quick, report to the Great Elder. The captain of the guards arranged for someone to inform the Great Elder while leading the guards into the main hall. As for Yun Ruoyan, after destroying one restriction with Qiu, she quickly moved on to the next one and continued to destroy it in the same way. As a result, when the guards arrived at the first array that Qiu had destroyed, the entire sacred palace shook once more. Not good, someone's intentionally destroying the array. The captain of the guards immediately split the guards into several groups and went to check out the area with the restriction, with Li Mo and 2 other guards accompanying him. Over there. As soon as the 3 guards saw Yun Ruoyan and Qiu, Li Mo knocked one of them unconscious. The other guard was smacked to death by Qiu, who had suddenly pounced on him. Yan, are you all right? Li Mo walked up to Yun Ruoyan and asked. I'm fine. There's only 2 more arrays left. Yun Ruoyan motioned for Qiu to continue destroying the array. That's enough. Li Mo pulled Yun Ruoyan back. I've already sent for the first elder and he'll be here soon. Let's leave now. Li Mo took out the guard's uniform that he had prepared beforehand and put it on Yun Ruoyan. Qiu returned to the pocket dimension, and Li Mo brought Yun Ruoyan to the front hall of the palace, where all of the guards were gathered. Captain, we haven't found anyone suspicious. Captain, we haven't either. None at all. Li Mo and Yun Ruoyan also returned to the group. Because all of the guards were wearing silver masks, no one noticed that Yun Ruoyan was among the many guards. Chapter 480. Have they already escaped? That's impossible. The captain muttered to himself, then looked around before pointing in Li Mo and Yun Ruoyan's direction. Go out and stand guard. Don't let anyone get close or leave. Li Mo and Yun Ruoyan were just about to take the opportunity to leave when they heard the guard captain's words. They immediately nodded and left the hall. The first elder arrived almost as soon as the 2 of them left. 70 to 80% of the restrictions in the palace had been destroyed. In order to prevent anyone from destroying the palace at this time, the first elder had to immediately rearrange the ones that had been destroyed. Even for the first elder, it would take a lot of time for him to rearrange the restrictions one by one. The first elder sent people to continue to interrogate suspicious people in the Dragon Castle while he began to repair the restriction in the Sacred Hall. Before repairing the restrictions in the secret chamber where the holy water was stored, the first elder went in to investigate. Within a large transparent container was a large amount of red liquid, which contained the blood extracted from Long Yin and the other bearers of the demonic dragon's bloodline. A tube extended from the top of the container and there was a small hole at the end of the tube. A transparent liquid constantly flowed out of the tube, dripping into the container below it. That was the holy water. At the moment there was still very little holy water in the container. The first elder of the silver dragon would periodically come to collect the essence of the demonic dragon's bloodline, which was known as the holy water. However, the amount of holy water that had been extracted so far wasn't enough for him. The first elder walked to the side of the large container, which was about half as tall as he was. Currently, it contained more than half of the liquid's blood, which would last for half a year. After half a year, the blood would be completely depleted and a second blood sacrifice would be required. At the same time, the second blood array would be activated. A white sword aura appeared beneath the first elder's feet, lifting him up to the top of the container. With a light wave of his hand, the lid of the container slid open. The great elder made a cut on his hand, and his blood dripped from the cut into the container. The moment the silver dragon's blood came into contact with the mystic dragon's blood, a strange light rose from the boiling liquid, and even the speed at which the essence of the liquid dripped from the conduit increased. This was something that the first elder had discovered while researching how to refine the holy water. Although the silver dragon's blood didn't have the insane regenerative abilities of the demonic dragon's bloodline, it could stimulate the demonic dragon's bloodline and make it stronger. This was why he had asked Rong Yueshan to bring Li Yan here at all costs. He believed that with both the demonic and silver dragon bloodlines, Li Yan's bloodline would be even stronger than before. The holy water refined by the silver dragon Grand Elder could only extend a person's lifespan. Only by constantly drinking the holy water could one extend their lifespan. Once they stopped drinking it, they would quickly age or even die. He had been working hard to refine a holy water that could grant immortality once and for all, and he believed that Li Yan had exactly what he wanted. However, that idiot Rong Yueshan had ruined everything. Not only had she lost her own life, but she had also made both Yun Ruoyan and Li Emma wary of her. The first elder slowly landed on the ground and took out a talisman. The talisman floated into the air and a figure appeared on it, the head of the Yuelu villa, Dong Tiehe. "Greetings, Great Elder." Dong Tiehe bowed respectfully to the silver dragon Great Elder. "How's the task that I entrusted you with?" "Yes, First Elder," Dong Tiehe replied awkwardly. Dong Tiehe looked troubled. Not only does that child have many guards by his side, but he's also accompanied by a very powerful snake. I haven't found a chance to capture him yet. "A very powerful snake?" The Great Elder asked doubtfully. "What does it look like?" "It's snow-white, covered in scales and has 2 horns on its head." Dong Tiehe described White Yi's current appearance to the First Elder, who couldn't help but frown. What Dong Tiehe described was exactly what the silver dragon would look like when it was young. The silver dragons were the ancestors of the silver dragons. Like the demonic dragons, although they possessed the bloodline of a dragon, they didn't possess the body of a dragon. Only by cultivating in a certain way could they possess the body of a dragon. However, nothing was absolute. The Silver Dragon clan had 3 silver dragons that had been passed down since ancient times, and all of them had the body of a dragon. In the great battle 10,000 years ago, one of the silver dragons had been gravely injured by the demonic dragons and had fallen into a low-level realm, never to be found again. The other 2 silver dragons had also died in that battle. Could it be that this little silver dragon is a descendant of the silver dragon that fell onto the Qinyuan continent? The First Elder couldn't help but wonder. If that was the case, then not only would he have to obtain the infant, but he would also have to obtain the white snake that Dong Tiehe had captured. "I'll give you an item that can subdue that white snake." With a flip of his hand, the First Elder retrieved a crystalline bead that was even larger than his fist. He then chanted an incantation and tossed the bead toward the talisman. The bead passed through the talisman and landed in Dong Tiehe's hand. "I won't let you down, First Elder," Dong Tiehe exclaimed excitedly as he felt the spiritual energy coursing through the bead. After Yun Ruoyan's rampage in the sacred palace, the entire dragon castle grew even more tense. Everyone was searching for suspicious individuals, but Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo's identities were well documented, and there was no way to trace them back to them. The guards in the castle tightened, but the First Elder's surveillance of the Holy Maiden was lax. Everyone's attention was drawn to the wanton destruction of the sacred palace. As planned, Yun Ruoyan sent Yin Xiao a letter signed by the Holy Maiden, inviting him to the outskirts of the castle for a stroll around Yinlong City. Yin Xiao was very excited when he received the letter. He had coveted the Holy Maiden for many years, but had never even seen her face. She was under the First Elder's protection, so he didn't dare act rashly. He could only target her maidservants. What he hadn't expected was for the Holy Maiden to send him a letter of her own volition. On any other day he wouldn't have dared to bring the Holy Maiden out of the castle, but his father, the First Elder of the Silver Dragons, had been so busy dealing with the destruction of the sacred palace that he hadn't had the time to deal with him. As a result, Yin Xiao boldly accepted the Holy Maiden's invitation. The Holy Maiden told Yun Ruoyan that she had secretly snuck out of the castle because she couldn't bear it any longer. Yun Ruoyan asked how she had managed to do it since the castle was still heavily guarded. "Granny Li," the Holy Maiden said, "Granny Li has been serving me since I became the Holy Maiden in the castle. Later she was transferred to another place. She watched me grow up and now she manages most of the maids in the castle. When the First Elder wasn't so strict with me, I could secretly go out with her every month or 2. Can Granny Li be trusted?" Yun Ruoyan asked. "This time, you're not just going out to play." "I trust her," the Holy Maiden said. Although the Holy Maiden said that she trusted Granny Li, Yun Ruoyan felt uneasy when she thought of the way Granny Li took the spirit stones from Huang Chuan's hand. She never believed that a greedy person could be so loyal. Therefore, at Yun Ruoyan's request, the holy maiden didn't tell the truth to Granny Li. She just let her go out of the castle on the pretext of playing as usual. The holy maiden followed Granny Li out of the central area very smoothly. When she walked out of the outermost area, she was interrogated. "Take off your veil," the guard said. The holy maiden had always been wearing a veil because she had been washed and changed by someone, so even Yun Ruoyan hadn't seen her real appearance. "My maid has caught a cold recently, so she can't be exposed to the wind. Please make an exception," Granny Li said with a smile. However, the guard was new and didn't listen to Granny Li at all. He insisted that the holy maiden take off her veil. "Granny Li, forget it. I'll take off my veil." Seeing that the two sides were in a deadlock and time was precious, the holy maiden wanted to compromise. "How can you do that?" Granny Li disagreed. How could the holy maiden's face be seen by others at will? Even if she didn't go out this time, she couldn't take off her veil. Just when she was in a dilemma, Yin Xiao appeared. He could freely enter and exit the entire dragon castle. With the supreme power of the first elder, there was no place in the dragon castle or even the entire silver dragon city that he dared not go. "Are you new here?" Yin Xiao strangled the guard's neck and said, "You even dare to disrespect Granny Li. I think you're tired of living." Because of Yin Xiao, the holy maiden came out of the dragon castle smoothly. "Granny Li, go back," the holy maiden said to Granny Li. But Granny Li felt embarrassed and a little strange. Didn't the holy maiden hate Yin Xiao very much? Why did she want to drive her away and be alone with Yin Xiao now? "What's wrong, Granny Li? Are you afraid that I will eat your holy maiden?" Yin Xiao said coldly. "I don't dare." Granny Li said quickly, "It's just that the holy maiden came out with me. If I can't take her back and something bad happens to her, I can't afford it even at the cost of my life." Granny Li ignored Yin Xiao's threat and insisted. Seeing that, the holy maiden had to pull her aside and then took off her veil, revealing a beautiful but definitely not the face of the holy maiden. "Who are you?" Granny Li was shocked and was about to shout. Yun Ruoyan quickly covered her mouth and said, "I'm Xiaoyun. Your holy maiden is staying in the dragon castle." "Are you Xiaoyun? How could it be possible? Xiaoyun is so ugly." Granny Li looked at Yun Ruoyan's beautiful face and couldn't believe it. "This is a fake face. I disguised myself." Yun Ruoyan patted her real face and said, "I'm here to tease Yin Xiao for the holy maiden. He always pesters the holy maiden and annoys her." Granny Li was finally fooled by Yun Ruoyan and left. After all, Granny Li just cared about the holy maiden. Since it was not the holy maiden who was with Yin Xiao now, even if something bad happened, it didn't matter much. At most, she would find a personal maid for the holy maiden. Yun Ruoyan looked at the back of Granny Li, who was walking away. She loosened her veil and then looked back at Yin Xiao and said, "Child Yin, I heard that there is a very beautiful place in the dragon castle. Would you like to go with me?" Chapter 481. Just then a gust of wind blew past, causing Yun Ruoyan's veil to fall off, revealing her beautiful face. Yin Xiao couldn't help but stare in awe. Yun Ruoyan pretended to be flustered and hurriedly put her veil back on. "Young Master Yin, the holy maiden's face can't be seen by just anyone. If the first elder finds out, he'll definitely punish me," Yun Ruoyan said pitifully. "Holy maiden, don't be afraid. I won't tell father about this," Yin Xiao hurriedly said. "Holy maiden, where are you going? Let's go now." As a result, Yun Ruoyan brought Yin Xiao to the location that they had discussed with the demon spirits, where they were currently lying in ambush. It was a lake outside Silver Dragon City, and it took the two of them less than half an incense stick's worth of time to arrive there on their flying swords. The lake was frozen, and all around it were trees with white flowers that Yun Ruoyan had never seen before. It was indeed a beautiful sight to behold. "I didn't know that there was such a beautiful place outside of Silver Dragon City." Yin Xiao smiled at Yun Ruoyan. Silver Howl smiled at Yun Ruoyan. "Holy maiden, you're always in the castle, so how did you know of such a place?" "I heard about it from someone," Yun Ruoyan replied coolly. She was currently gazing at the lake, her pure white dress complementing her figure. Behind her, Yin Xiao couldn't help but want to step forward and embrace the woman he had been longing for so long. "Oh, I'm rather curious. Who did you hear about it from?" Yin Xiao asked as he walked forward. "Friends." "What friends?" Yin Xiao appeared behind Yun Ruoyan and prepared to pounce on her. Yun Ruoyan turned around and dodged to the side. They're right here. Turn around and look. Holy Maiden, don't joke around. There's no one else here other than the two of us. As soon as Xianxia finished speaking, he felt a few powerful auras appear behind him. He frowned and turned around. The first person he saw was a shorty. With the shorty as the center, a row of 5 or 6 people almost completely blocked his path of retreat. All of them had unkind smiles on their faces as they looked at Xianxia as if he was a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Holy Maiden, who are they? Xianxia sensed danger and he looked at Yun Ruoyan with suspicion and wariness. Xianxia, I am not the saintess. Yun Ruoyan once again took out her veil. Her face was cold because at this moment she recalled the demonic dragon clansman and her father, Long Yin. Who are you? Who I am isn't important. We're here to kidnap you. As soon as Yun Ruoyan's voice fell, Xianxia attacked. A similarly crimson spiritual sword appeared in his hand, and he stabbed toward Yun Ruoyan. His cultivation was clearly much higher than Yun Ruoyan's, and Yun Ruoyan felt a powerful aura assaulting her. Roar! A bestial roar suddenly rang out. Xiao opened its mouth wide and bit down on the crimson spiritual sword in Xiao's hand. With a crunching sound, the spiritual sword was broken by Xiao's bite. How is this possible? Xiao was shocked. He had wanted to use Yun Ruoyan as a hostage, but he had been stopped by a powerful spiritual beast the moment he attacked. He immediately raised his sword and tried to escape. Brothers, take him down. At Huang Chuan's command, the members of the demon thief group stepped on their swords and charged at Xiao. Sword lights splashed everywhere. After a fierce fight, Xiao was finally captured by several people who were seriously injured. Why didn't your lord come? Yun Ruoyan asked Huang Chuan. Such a small matter doesn't require our lord's presence. We're more than enough, Huang Chuan replied. In that case, please tell your lord to proceed according to plan. Nothing must go wrong. Yun Ruoyan glanced coolly at the bound Xiao before flying away. A group of guards suddenly barged into the Holy Maiden's quarters. What do you want? The Holy Maiden shouted. Holy Maiden, we were ordered by the first elder to search for the culprit. Please cooperate, the guard captain said. How could there be someone who destroyed the holy temple here? You guys are too ridiculous. The saintess looked angry. In the entire dragon castle, other than the great elder, there was only the saintess. But now that the first elder had given the order, the guards had nothing to worry about. Stop the Holy Maiden. The rest of you follow me and search, the guard captain said. More than a dozen guards searched the inside and outside of the sleeping quarters, but they did not find a single suspicious person. Wait and see. I'll report to the first elder for offending you, the Holy Maiden said. Holy Maiden, don't you have a personal maid with you? Why didn't I see her today? The guard captain suddenly asked. I sent her out to buy things with Granny Li. She should be back soon. What's wrong? Anyone who leaves here today is a suspect, the guard captain said. After that, he ordered his subordinates, go to the city gate and wait for the maid. Immediately capture her and interrogate her. Just then Yun Ruoyan walked in from outside. In her hands were many trinkets sold in the Silver Dragon City. Holy Maiden. Yun Ruoyan had returned to her ugly appearance. She looked at the people in the room with a shocked expression. What happened? This is my maid, the Holy Maiden pointed at Yun Ruoyan. The saintess pointed at Yun Ruoyan and said, she just left in the morning and is back now. Is there a problem? They had originally come to the Holy Maiden's quarters as a matter of routine. When they saw that Yun Ruoyan was missing, they began to suspect her. But now that she had appeared again, there was no longer any suspicion. After asking about Yun Ruoyan's situation, the guard captain left with his men. How did it go? The Holy Maiden asked Yun Ruoyan hurriedly. Xiao has been caught, and we're just waiting for the first elder to take the bait. Yun Ruoyan laughed softly. Li Mo had been paying close attention to the situation in the Holy Palace these past few days. Originally, he had planned to leave the city with Yun Ruoyan to deal with Xiao, but the first elder of the Silver Dragon City hadn't come out since he entered the Holy Palace. After some discussion, Li Mo continued to monitor the first elder's movements as a temple guard. At night, Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo met up and told each other about their respective situations. Xiao had been successfully captured. As for the first elder's continued absence from the Holy Palace, both of them were worried that he would harm Long Yin. However, they couldn't barge in under the watchful eyes of so many people. Don't worry too much. When the demonic spirit delivers the letter, we'll be able to force the first elder out, Liemo comforted Yun Ruoyan. If everything goes smoothly, the letter should arrive tomorrow, Yun Ruoyan replied. Tomorrow, I'll infiltrate the temple guards with you. The next day, Yun Ruoyan infiltrated the temple guards and monitored the situation with Liemo. Within the temple, the first elder was setting up a complicated teleportation array. After many days of waiting, he had finally received good news from Dong Tiehe. Dong Tiehe had used the dragon pearl that the first elder had given him to subdue Whitey and capture Li Yan. The array that the first elder was setting up was to bring Whitey and Li Yan back from the Qinyuan continent. Once I'm done setting up the array, you'll have to listen to my orders. The great elder spoke to a talisman floating in the air. On the talisman was Dong Tiehe's image. He was currently holding Li Yan in his arms, and in his palm was a dragon ball. Within the dragon ball was a small white snake. That was Whitey. As you command, first elder. Dong Tiehe replied excitedly. He had always wanted to go to a high-tier continent, and now he would finally be able to do so. Once the first elder was done setting up the array, he taught Dong Tiehe an incantation. As he chanted the incantation, a teleportation array lit up beneath his feet. His entire figure gradually disappeared into the spell formation. When he opened his eyes again, he was in the middle of the sacred palace. Greetings, first elder. Dong Tiehe bowed toward the first elder. That's Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo's child? The first elder, who had always concealed his emotions, couldn't help but grow excited. Yes, he is. Dong Tiehe handed Li Yan to the first elder, who held it in his arms. At the same time, he extended his other hand toward Dong Tiehe. Without warning, an icicle pierced through Dong Tiehe's chest. Why? Dong Tiehe looked at the icicle in his chest and asked in confusion and unwillingness. Because you've accomplished your mission. You can disappear now, the first elder's cold voice rang out. Dong Tiehe spat out a mouthful of blood and collapsed to the ground. His eyes were wide open and he couldn't breathe. The first elder looked at the child in his arms, a strange smile appearing on his cold, rigid face. Just then Li Yan, who had been unconscious all this time, suddenly opened his eyes and let out a cry that he had never heard before. Yun Ruoyan, who was outside the sacred palace, suddenly felt a sharp pain in her heart. She clutched her chest tightly. Liemo could tell that Yun Ruoyan was acting strangely and whispered, "What's wrong?" "I don't know what's wrong, but I suddenly felt a sharp pain in my chest. I think I heard Li Yan crying." "Did you hear it?" Liemo shook his head, his brows furrowed. Although he wasn't as sensitive as Yun Ruoyan to sense Li Yan's danger, his heart was still flustered. Liemo knew that this was a bloodline connection. Just then someone delivered a letter. The messenger whispered a few words into the guard's ear, and the guard's expression immediately changed. He immediately took the letter and entered the sacred palace. "It looks like the demonic spirit's letter has arrived." Yun Ruoyan continued clutching her chest, the pain still lingering. "Yes." Liemo temporarily suppressed his worries and waited for the situation to unfold in the sacred palace. Inside the sacred palace, the first elder had already opened the secret passage to the blood array. He was prepared to place Li Yan in and make him the core of the array. Just then the guard captain's voice came from outside. "First elder, I have something urgent to report." Chapter 482. What's the matter? The first elder asked coldly. At the same time, a ball of spiritual energy appeared in his palm. If the guard captain's words weren't urgent enough, only death awaited him. Just now, the guards of the castle received a flying sword with a letter tied to it. The letter said that the young master had been kidnapped and that you were to rescue him personally. The signature was a demonic spirit. The guard captain knew the severity of the matter, and he finished his sentence without pause. Demonic spirit? Isn't he locked up in the dungeons? The first elder frowned. He hadn't had the time to deal with the demonic spirit recently. "Elder, I've already sent someone to check on him, but he escaped at some point," the guard captain replied. "What a bunch of useless fools." The silver dragon head elder waved his hand in anger, and the white light hit the wall with a bang, directly punching a hole in the wall. The hole was precisely on the head of the guard captain. "Great elder, I wonder what this subordinate should do next?" The guard captain's head was almost cut off and his face was pale with fright. The first elder glanced at Li Yan, who was still sobbing in his arms. Since they want to die, I have no reason not to grant them their wish. The first elder caressed Li Yan's tiny face. Your parents are truly impressive. They've been in my territory for so long, but I still haven't been able to track them down. But as long as you're in my hands, there's no need to worry that they won't show up. When the time comes, I'll let your family reunite and die together. Both Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo stared unblinkingly at the tightly shut gates of the sacred palace. That uneasy feeling was coming from behind the gates. After what felt like a long time, the doors finally opened and the first elder walked out unhurriedly. In his arms was a crying infant. Li Mo, that's... Yun Ruoyan felt as if her heart was about to explode. Yan, you can't. Li Mo leaned closer to Yun Ruoyan and grabbed her arm tightly. Both of them could see that the first elder was indeed carrying Li Yan. He cried incessantly, his cries almost tearing Li Mo and Yun Ruoyan's hearts apart. Mistress, let me go save the young mistress. Qiuqiu's voice rang out in Yun Ruoyan's mind. Yan, you can't. We have no chance of winning. Li Mo couldn't command Qiuqiu, so he could only try to persuade Yun Ruoyan. Li Yan isn't in any danger right now, but if you act rashly you'll only put him in danger. Yun Ruoyan clenched her fists tightly, resisting the urge to rush out. She thought that she wouldn't be able to stop him, but even though her heart was bleeding and her mind was in a daze, she still listened to Li Mo's words. She surveyed her surroundings. There were no less than 50 guards here, and according to Li Mo's investigations, each of these guards was at least a second-level sword saint. If she rushed out and the battle began, there would be even more peak realm warriors rushing over, including the great elder of the Silver Dragon. Even with Qiuqiu they had almost no chance of winning, let alone saving Li Yan from the hands of the great elder of the Silver Dragon. Held tightly by Li Mo, Yun Ruoyan watched stiffly as the first elder carried Li Yan into the distance. Li Mo, let's hurry and inform the demon spirit. I want to trade the silver howl for Yan, Yun Ruoyan said. Alright, go back to the Holy Maiden's quarters and wait. I'll go to the captain of the guards and get a token to leave the city, Li Mo said. We'll leave the city together tonight. Yun, what's the matter? The Holy Maiden jumped in fright when she saw Yun Ruoyan's pale face. This was the first time she had seen Yun Ruoyan lose her composure, and it definitely wasn't an act. Holy Maiden, what I'm about to tell you is very important. Yun Ruoyan calmed herself. Yun Ruoyan calmed herself down and said to the Holy Maiden, there's been an important change in our plan. The original plan was to lure the first elder out and have someone else deal with him, while I'd stay in the castle with you. But now, I need to fight the Silver Dragon face to face, so I'll have to leave the castle to you alone. The saintess was taken aback and hurriedly asked, what happened to Xiao Yun? Yun Ruoyan took a deep breath. My child was captured by the Silver Dragon. He's the child that the Silver Dragon claims to have both the Silver and Demonic Dragon bloodlines. The Demonic Dragon has been trying to get his hands on him, and now that Yen'er is in his hands he'll definitely use him as the eye of the blood formation. Fortunately, the demon spirit's letter arrived today. We're prepared to trade the silver howl for Yen'er, and Li Mo and I will have to do it ourselves. The Holy Maiden sucked in a deep breath. She had experienced firsthand just how frightening that blood formation was, and yet the first elder of the Silver Dragon sect wanted to put a baby into it? Just thinking about it made the Holy Maiden's scalp tingle. The great elder was truly insane. Alright, Yun, you two go. I'm the Holy Maiden after all. In the absence of the first elder, I'll do my best to complete the task you've entrusted me with. Not long after Li Mo arrived. Yen'er, we've obtained the token. Let's go. Li Mo led Yun Ruoyan out of the Holy Maiden's quarters. With the token to leave the Dragon Castle, the two of them easily left the Dragon Castle. On the outer walls of the castle, the two of them saw the newly posted wanted posters. The posters still had Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo's faces on them, but they were to surrender within 3 days. Otherwise, their children would be sacrificed to the heavens. The wanted poster described Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo as two demonic bandits who had committed all sorts of atrocities, and the act of sacrificing their child to the heavens had been described as particularly sacred and holy. Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo went straight to the headquarters of the demonic bandits. There's a change of plans. Write another letter to the Silver Dragon, saying that we're exchanging hostages, Li Mo said. What's the matter? Exchange hostages? What hostages? The bandits began asking questions. Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo told the others about Li Yan's capture. I understand that your children have been captured, Huang Chuan began. But we can't make the decision on our own. We'll have to wait for the senior to return. It's too late. Li Mo finally roared, imbued with spiritual energy and carrying a hint of a dragon's roar. The bandits all paused. Huang Chuan continued helplessly, it's not a matter of time. The letter was written by the senior himself, and the silver dragon should be able to recognize the senior's handwriting. No one else can copy it. Where's the demon spirit? Yun Ruoyan asked. I don't know. Huang Chuan shook his head. The senior has been going out every day for the past few days, but he'll return the next day. All we can do now is wait. Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo had no choice but to wait for the demon spirit's return. Before the next day the demon spirit returned. Why are you here? Where did you go? The demon spirit Li Mo and Yun Ruoyan spoke almost simultaneously. I got this. Mo Ling said as she took out a jade bottle from her body. This is the holy water. How did you get it? Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo asked in unison. During this period of time, the demon spirit had been sneaking into the dragon castle every day, looking for an opportunity to sneak into the palace. Tonight he had finally found an opportunity to enter the palace again. The first time I failed at the restriction. This time I found a way to break through it, the demon spirit began. Because the restriction was destroyed by you, the new one was a little rushed and I was able to break through it easily. The demon spirit held the palm-sized jade bottle in his hand like it was a treasure. His eyes were filled with excitement. It's just a pity that there was too little holy water in that secret chamber. I got all of it. I'm guessing that silver dragon must have stored it somewhere else. Is this enough for you to reconstruct your physical body? Yun Ruoyan asked. It should be enough, the demon spirit said. How long do you need? Mo asked. About 3 days, the demon spirit replied. Only then did the demon spirit realize that something was amiss. It's been about 3 days. Why are you two here now? According to the plan, Li Mo should be the only one who's here. There's a change of plans. Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo explained Li Yan's situation to the demon spirit. Right now, nothing is more important to me and Yan than rescuing Li Yan, Li Mo began. I hope you'll be able to help us. Otherwise, we'll have to cut off our cooperation. I agree to write a letter to exchange hostages, the demon spirit replied without hesitation. Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo had thought that the demon spirit would have to argue with them for a while, but it was surprisingly straightforward. However, the demon spirit continued to state his conditions. First, I can write a letter, but the exchange must be delayed to 3 days from now. Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo wanted to exchange hostages the next day. 3 days from now, I'll use my own physical body to demand payment from the silver dragon, the demon spirit continued. Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo felt that as long as they had this letter, Li Yan wouldn't be in danger for the time being, so they agreed to the demon spirit's first condition. Second, after we kill the first elder of the silver dragons, we have to take down the entire silver dragon clan. We originally had halls in the Dark North and Dark North regions, but they've all been destroyed. I need you to help us rebuild the halls so that we'll still be a 3-pronged alliance. Are you willing? Yun Ruoyan was now the head of the demonic dragon clan, and Li Mo's mother was the previous holy maiden of the silver dragon clan. Without the first elder, the silver dragon clan would be leaderless, and it would only be a matter of time before the monkeys would scatter. If Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo joined forces against the demonic dragon clan, the demon spirit would be forced into a passive position. As such, he had to find a way out for himself. Chapter 483. We agree. Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo agreed at the same time. Aside from the fact that they had no intention of suppressing the demons in the first place, there was nothing more important to them than saving Li Yan. Having obtained the result that he wanted, the demon immediately wrote a letter to the first elder of the silver dragons, then went into seclusion to reconstruct his body. 3 days later, they would face the first elder of the silver dragons in a face-to-face battle. I need your help, the demon said to Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo before going into seclusion. Alright, how can we help you? Li Mo asked. In the demon's secret chamber, the demon used blood to draw out a formation. More accurately, it was Shuo Yifeng's blood, not the demon's. Their consciousnesses had fused together, and the demon was now going to use this formation to separate their consciousnesses before using the holy water to reconstruct his body. All of this required a large amount of spiritual energy, and Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo were responsible for constantly injecting spiritual energy into the formation to ensure that it remained active. Zhou Yifeng's body floated above the formation, his expression alternating between pain and malevolence. Suddenly, a red and white ball of light broke free from Zhou Yifeng's head. That red and white ball of light twisted and contorted above the formation until it finally split into two balls, one red and one white. Ordinary people's spiritual consciousness light balls appeared white. Only the devil race's spiritual consciousness light balls would appear red. The white light was Zhou Yifeng's spiritual consciousness, and the red light was the demon spirit's spiritual consciousness. The two spiritual consciousnesses were finally separated. The holy water had long since been poured into the formation, and the demon was still using Zhou Yifeng's blood to reconstruct his body. After the holy water and Zhou Yifeng's blood fused, the demon began to transform. Like a seed that had been planted in the soil, it first sprouted and then like a plant, it grew into a human form at a speed visible to the naked eye. "Ha, my body's been reconstructed." The demon spirit laughed excitedly at Liam. "Liamo, help me enter my physical body." Zhou Yifeng's consciousness, on the other hand, had been suppressed for so long that it seemed to be in a daze. Seeing this, Yun Ruoyan pointed a finger at Zhou Yifeng's consciousness, and a wave of spiritual energy wrapped around it. "Zhou Yifeng, can you hear me?" Yun Ruoyan asked in her mind. I heard it." Zhou Yifeng's voice was still a little muddled. "Do you know who I am?" "I know you're Yun Ruoyan." Zhou Yifeng's voice was finally clear. "Alright, I'll take you back to your own body." She then used her spiritual energy to guide Zhou Yifeng's divine sense back into her body. On the other hand, the demon spirit had also entered Li Mo's body with Li Mo's help. After a full day and night, both of them finally opened their eyes. In the Dragon Fortress, the Silver Dragon Elder received another letter from Mo Ling. In the letter he wanted to use Yin Howl to exchange for Li Yan. The meeting place was outside the Silver Dragon City, and the time was 3 days later. He was asked to bring Li Yan there alone. The Silver Dragon Great Elder shook the letter in his hand and the paper caught fire. Soon it turned into a few wisps of smoke and not even ashes were left. Everyone around him kept quiet out of fear and no one dared to make a sound. Everyone knew that Yin Howl was the only remaining descendant of the Silver Dragon Great Elder. The higher his cultivation, the older he was, the less likely it was that he would leave behind a descendant. If something were to happen to Yin Howl, the Silver Dragon Great Elder's bloodline would be severed. No one dared to voice their opinion on such an important matter, and everyone waited for the first Elder's final decision. It looks like Yun Ruoyan, Li Mo, and the demon spirit are on the same side. After a long while, the demon spirit finally spoke up. "If we can take them all in one fell swoop, we won't have to worry about anything else in the future. Since they're willing to lure us into a trap, why can't I do the same?" The Silver Dragon glanced at the captain of the guards, who immediately walked up to the First Elder, and the First Elder whispered something into his ear. "Sir, I'll make the arrangements now." The captain turned and left quickly. The Silver Dragon turned to the patrol captain and asked, "Has the Holy Maiden made any movements lately?" "She's been in her chambers the entire time. She hasn't gone anywhere," the patrol captain replied. The Silver Dragon nodded, then waved his hand at the guards and they all left. The Silver Dragon stood up and walked to an infant's bed in a corner of the room. Li Yan stared at the Silver Dragon with wide, clear eyes as if he were speaking to him. "What an adorable child, what a pity," the Silver Dragon murmured. The Silver Dragon said faintly, "Since your parents want me to have no descendants, I'll let them taste the pain of losing their son first." 3 days passed in the blink of an eye, and the Silver Dragon carried Li Yan alone to the location specified in the letter. It was a place with a lake on one side and a forest on the other. The surroundings were quiet and the entire place was covered in silver. "I've come as promised and the child is right here. Hand over Yin Howl." The Silver Dragon raised the infant high in the air, his voice reverberating through the air. "Old Silver Dragon monster, I trust you've been well since we last met, huh?" An evil voice rang out right after the Great Volume Elder's voice. A black silhouette flashed out of the forest. The demonic spirit, who was wrapped in a black cloak, floated in the air and looked down at the silver dragon Great Elder. There was a blood-red cloud-like substance beneath his feet, making him look extremely strange. "Crafty guy, you still managed to steal the holy water." The silver dragon's deep voice was filled with anger. "Ha ha ha." The devil spirit laughed in a very proud manner. "Your holy hall and its restrictions are like paper to this devil lord. The first time I was caught by you, it was because this devil lord wasn't prepared and you successfully ambushed me. This time I have a plan and prepared, so it's naturally easy. I won't do the same thing twice, huh?" The demon spirit snorted and said, "Cut the crap. Where's Immortal? I've brought the person you're looking for." The silver dragon raised the infant in his hands once more and shouted, "Yunru and Liemo, I know you're here. I've brought the child. Don't you want to take him back?" "Silver dragon." Liemo's voice rang out. "Hand over our child, or you'll have to collect Immortal's corpse." "Collect his corpse? Ah, who knows who's going to collect whose corpse?" The silver dragon squeezed Li Yan's neck as he spoke, his voice cold and bloodthirsty. "I only need to squeeze lightly and this little life will scatter in the wind. I really can't bear to kill such a cute child." "Stop." A woman shouted angrily. Yun Ruoyan and Li Emo appeared at the same time, followed by Huang Chuan and the other bandits. Immortal was being escorted over by them. "Silver Dragon, as far as we know, Immortal is your only bloodline," Yun Ruoyan began. "Surely you wouldn't be so impulsive as to use your last bloodline as a wager?" The nobler one's bloodline was, the more they cared about passing it down. It was rare for someone like the Silver Dragon to have a son of his own after living for 10,000 years, and he would naturally dote on Immortal. "You already know the answer," the Silver Dragon said. "Now that our hostages are here, we can exchange them." Liemo stepped forward and blocked Yun Ruoyan's way. "I'll exchange with you. If you try anything funny, don't blame me for being merciless." "Same here." At Liemo's and the Silver Dragon's level of cultivation, it was a simple matter for them to kill someone within a certain distance. Liemo held the bound Immortal, while the Silver Dragon carried Li Yan, and the two of them walked toward each other. For a moment, everyone held their breath, paying close attention to each other's movements. Just as the two of them were about to get close, the Silver Dragon suddenly moved. Without warning, he tossed Li Yan behind him and the tiny infant was thrown into the air. "Yanka!" Yun Ruoyan cried out as a sword appeared beneath her feet and she flew toward Li Yan. Liemo felt his heart wrench in pain. Disregarding everything else, he put down Silver Howl and flew toward Li Yan. "Father, save me!" Immortal stumbled toward the Silver Dragon. "Silver Dragon, old monster, you won't give in so easily. Don't let this father and son escape." As soon as the demonic spirit gave the order, the demonic cultivators immediately spread out and surrounded the two of them. "Do you think you can stop me with just the likes of you? What a joke." The Silver Dragon's voice was imbued with spiritual energy, and it was deafening. At the same time, a thin layer of spiritual energy seeped out of his body, gradually expanding until it enveloped Immortal as well. Liemo caught Li Yan in his arms, but as soon as the child was in his hands, his expression changed. "Liemo, how's Yan? Let me see him." Yun Ruoyan was a little slower. As soon as she landed on the ground, she stretched out her hand toward Li Yan. Liemo looked at her strangely. "What's the matter, Liemo? Is it Yan er?" Yun Ruoyan's hands trembled and tears threatened to spill out of her eyes. "No," Liemo replied. "See for yourself." Liemo handed the child to Yun Ruoyan. Yun Ruoyan's heart was filled with rage. This child wasn't Li Yan and they had been tricked. The Silver Dragon cheated. It said that even tigers don't eat their cubs, but you didn't even care about your own bloodline. Yun Ruoyan's voice and body trembled uncontrollably. Qiuqiu also sensed Yun Ruoyan's anger. It came out of the pocket dimension and stood by Yun Ruoyan's side, its fur bristling as it bared its fangs at the Silver Dragon. Chapter 484. Inlong, you're truly a man who's willing to do anything for your own ends. It seems we've underestimated you, Liemo muttered angrily. Liemo lowered his voice, which was also filled with anger. Li Yan was more important to them than anything else, and they had thought that the Silver Dragon would also view his child as important. Neither of them had expected the Silver Dragon to be this deranged. The Silver Dragon's gaze fell on Yin Xiao, who was getting closer and closer to him under the protection of his spirit force barrier. He slowly said, "It's not that you're underestimating me, but you're underestimating how important that child is to me. With that child I'll finally be able to achieve what I've been pursuing all these years. He's worth the risk." "Where's my child now?" Yun Ruoyan suppressed the urge to rush over and chop the father and son into pieces. "If you don't see my child today, don't even think of leaving." As Yun Ruoyan spoke, she took off the silver bracelet on her hand and threw it into the air. The bracelet instantly grew bigger and Qiuqiu jumped onto it. Together with the demonic spirit, they blocked the way up from both sides. "It's impossible for him to have a child. I'm afraid he's already been sent into the blood array." Humph. Yin Long laughed coldly. "Also, did you really think that I'd just sit here and wait for you to surround me?" Yun Ruoyan and Liemo felt as if their hearts had been cut by a knife. They glanced at each other and at the same time, the idea of immediately heading to the dragon castle to save Li Yan surfaced in their minds. Just then, however, they sensed a large group of people surging toward them. "Since everyone's here, why don't we settle all our grudges together?" The silver dragon laughed. Because he didn't laugh often, his laughter sounded particularly awkward. It was even more sinister and ear-piercing than the demonic spirit's voice. "I solved all the problems at once. From now on I will stop." Yin Long, you old geezer," the demon spirit began. "We're thinking the same thing. Indeed, it's time to settle the 10,000-year grudge between us." Demon spirit. The silver dragon looked in the direction of the silver dragon and continued to laugh. "That old fellow, the mystic dragon, has already ascended to the heavens. I advise you to let go now and run far away. That way, you can still drag out an ignoble existence and avoid following in the mystic dragon's footsteps. I've been living an ignoble existence for tens of thousands of years." The demon spirit's voice became low. He suddenly roared at the silver dragon, "Today the 9 heavens gods and demons have given me a chance to be reborn to punish you. If that's the case, then there's no need for us to talk nonsense. Let's fight." Yin Long grabbed Yin Xiao and brought him to his side. At the same time he issued an order to the people around him. "Warriors of the Dragon Fortress, kill these people in front of you and each of you will get a bottle of holy water." Following this order, over 100 silver-armored dragon castle guards appeared in the sky, standing on swords. They densely surrounded the area, making it so that not even a drop of water could trickle through. Leave this to us. Find a chance to leave and rush to the dragon fortress to save Lian," Liemo whispered to Yun Ruoyan. Yun Ruoyan nodded, then looked at the dragon castle guards surrounding her. Although there were many of them and their cultivations weren't low, it wouldn't be difficult for her to break through their encirclement with Qiuqiu's help if a chaotic battle broke out. "All right, be careful," Yun Ruoyan said to Liemo. There was bound to be a huge battle ahead, but the two of them had to separate at such a critical juncture. On one side was her son and on the other was her husband. Yun Ruoyan couldn't help but feel her heart ache. "Don't worry," Liemo comforted. "If nothing goes wrong, your brother will arrive with reinforcements soon. As long as we can hold on until he arrives, we'll have a chance of winning." As the two of them spoke, they heard Yin Long order to attack the crowd. Some of the magic bandits flew on swords, while others remained on the ground to fight with the dragon castle guards. It was a 1 versus 10 situation. The demonic spirit and Yin Long clashed, a large black sword and a dazzling silver sword flashing in the air. For a moment it was hard to tell who was going to win. It was difficult to determine a victor in a battle between experts of this caliber in a short period of time. Sometimes the battle would go on for half a month. Li Mo, on the other hand, was busy trying to rescue the magic bandits. When they couldn't hold on any longer, he would immediately rush to their aid. Qiuqiu stood in front of Yun Ruoyan. Anyone who came within 3 steps of Yun Ruoyan would be sent flying by Qiuqiu's spiritual fire. Just as Yun Ruoyan was waiting for an opportunity to leave, she suddenly discovered that Yin Xiao, who had been following Yin Long all this time, had taken advantage of the chaos to escape. "Mistress, I saw it." Qiuqiu knew what Yun Ruoyan was thinking. Yin Xiao was taken away by a few dragon castle guards in that direction. Yun Ruoyan looked over and saw that it was the direction to the dragon castle. Yin Xiao had been poisoned by Yun Ruoyan with an extremely poisonous powder, and for a short period of time, not only would he be unable to use his spiritual energy, but even basic movements would take a lot of effort. It seems that Silver Dragon isn't so cold-blooded after all. At the very least he knows how to let his son escape. I was just worried that I wouldn't have a hostage in the dragon castle, so I might as well take him with me. Qiuqiu, let's go. Yun Ruoyan leaped onto Qiuqiu's back, holding the scarlet eye sword in one hand and Qiuqiu's crimson mane in the other. The two of them sped off in the direction of the dragon castle. 2 days ago, at Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo's request, he had gone to the Netherworld continent with a letter from Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo, requesting Feng Yicheng and Thunderbolt's help. In the letter, the two of them had roughly explained the situation and asked the two of them to select at least 100 warriors who were second-level Sword Saint and above to assist in the battle on the extreme Abyss continent. As soon as they received the letter, both Feng Yicheng and Thunderbolt were dumbfounded. The extreme Abyss continent was a place that even low-level continents wouldn't dare to dream of. Why were they suddenly being asked to gather troops to fight against the extreme Abyss continent? If this request had been made by anyone else, the two of them would have rejected it without a second thought. However, Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo meant a lot to them. If not for Yun Ruoyan's help, Thunderbolt would have been reduced to ashes by now, let alone become the son-in-law of the Lai family. Feng Yicheng had been able to become the head of the Feng family and defeat the Thunderbolt family largely because of Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo's help. No matter how inconceivable the matter was, as long as it was Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo's request, the two of them couldn't refuse it. As a result, Feng Yicheng and Thunderbolt immediately gathered together to discuss the matter. Although Yun Moxiao had never interacted with the two of them, he had heard Yun Ruoyan talk about her experiences on the Netherworld continent, so he had some understanding of the situation. My sister and brother-in-law know that the two of you must have some misgivings, so they'd like me to convey a message to you, Yun Moxiao began. What message? Feng Yicheng and Thunderbolt asked in unison. The extreme Abyss continent isn't as sacred and inviolable as you think. Its current leader, the first elder of the Silver Dragons, is a cunning and greedy man. According to Ruoyan, although you've never met the first elder of the Silver Dragon clan, he's been manipulating Thunderflame and Thunderbation behind the scenes for many years. Most of their tyranny on the Netherworld continent has something to do with the first elder of the Silver Dragon clan. This Silver Dragon's greed is like a bottomless pit. 10,000 years ago he provoked the Armageddon War. 10,000 years later, if we don't act, I'm afraid another Armageddon War will begin. Everyone had only heard about the apocalyptic battle 10,000 years ago. However, just the legend of the Silver Dragon clan being the last of the 3 major clans was enough to make everyone tremble in fear, not to mention the others. Gentlemen, it's not that we don't have a chance of victory, Yun Moxiao began. I'm from the extreme Abyss continent, Yun Moxiao continued. We already have quite a few experts on the extreme Abyss continent, but we're still at a disadvantage in terms of numbers. As long as you're willing to send out 100 great perfection experts, we'll have a high chance of defeating the Silver Dragons. Once we defeat them, the extreme Abyss continent will no longer be sacred and inviolable, and everyone will be able to visit it as guests. It was impossible not to be tempted by Yun Moxiao's words. Everyone turned to look at Thunderbolt and Feng Yicheng. Although Thunderbolt was only the son-in-law of the Lai family, because Lai Yun trusted him so much, every member of the Lai family was at his beck and call. Oh, I almost forgot something, Yun Moxiao said. Ruoyan asked me to pass on a message to you, young Master Thunderbolt. There's holy water in the Silver Dragon Castle that can help you regrow your arms. Regardless of whether you're willing to send out your troops or not, she'll do her best to help you obtain it. Are you serious? Thunderbolt didn't seem too excited, but Lai Yun stood up and looked at Yun Moxiao with a burning gaze. She'd heard Thunderbolt mention the holy water before, but it was too far away for the two of them to know about it, so they could only sigh about it. Absolutely, it's in the sacred palace of the Silver Dragon Castle, but there are too many guards and restrictions, so it won't be easy to obtain, Yun Moxiao replied. Feng Yicheng stood up at this moment and asked Yun Moxiao, I have a question. Brother Li and Miss Yun, why do you insist on fighting the Silver Dragon clan to the point where you won't rest until one side is dead? Yun Moxiao thought for a moment. The answer to this question concerns my sister and brother-in-law's parentage, but since young Master Feng has asked, I'll tell you about it. Yun Moxiao immediately told everyone about Yun Ruoyan's parentage, her father, Longyin's current situation, and Li Mo's identity. Isn't it enough for the Silver Dragon Grand Elder to capture Uncle Long? He's also eyeing my nephew Lian. Our family really is irreconcilable with that bastard, Yun Moxiao said anxiously. You're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.